Neil on the closing show, guys. Have a great one.
Take care.
Hey guys, 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. Welcome back in on what's turning out to be a red afternoon. Unfortunately, we're still kind of lingering around day lows. Bit of an uptick currently, however, for the S&P 500. This is how things are shaping up to kick off the final 2 hours of the day. 0.88 right now for the S&P. The Dow basically flat, 1.5%. We'll call it for the NASDAQ there. 3.25 still for crude oil. Ugly day after big rally over the past couple. 0.78, improving situation anyways for Bitcoin. Same story for Ethereum. That has since gone. Positive on the session. There was a note on this. WWE. Vince McMahon wants $9 billion for the entire thing. For any takers out there, 91.5 got tagged up there. That actually printed 91.5. So right back down on that, but 2% on the day anyways for WWE. 2 billion, or sorry, 9 billion, I should say, for the entire thing if you're a buyer. Tech stocks downside right now, leading the market overall, right across the board. It's been that way most of the day, but we are seeing a bit of a bounce overall. PayPal here, notably weak. I saw that right out of the gate this morning. There's nothing new on it as far as news today, but 3.6% right now for PayPal downside. Adobe here as well, CRM, about 2.5% in the red. There's energy. We saw oil down 3%. So all of the producers getting hit here to the tune of 3.5% for XOM to 6%. Halliburton and EOG down about 6% on the day. Healthcare stocks are weak. Consumer discretionary has been pretty weak all day. Same story for industrials, trying to get higher along with Deere there off of earnings, but it's an improving situation overall. Material stocks down on ALB primarily off of earnings. Communications and real estate rounding out the rest of the red group so far. 0.7 right now for the S&P 500. Hey, there's still time. Maybe. A couple hours left. Hope your afternoon's going well. Let's get through a few things we were discussing this morning. If you joined us in the pre-market, tons of opportunity once again. We'll go back and revisit a few of those. Some panned out, some were kind of as far as follow through. Tesla, an interesting look today. A bit of a chop fest back and forth. Neil is here, though. He's going to lead the way this afternoon with a look at one of his trades.
It's going to be DraftKings. Earnings is the name of the game here, and the analysts loved everything about it, but it's gapping up, and it was in rarefied air. So if you didn't catch it early, you kind of missed out on the opportunity to the upside in DraftKings. As usual, I'm always starting out with the higher time frame. On the daily, you can see how far the stock had already gone to the upside. So you were working with old prior levels right up at around 20 bucks here, but I keyed off on a couple of key prices. So up here, you'll see like 1980, which is the previous wick high in the daily. That's a big level. And then I just keyed that next line, which is right in here, was the aftermarket high. So about 1940. So you have this 40-cent pocket that I'm thinking this is your little gap area on the higher time frame that I'm looking for the dip by. And oftentimes, when you're looking for the dip on earnings, you'll have that target zone. It doesn't always line up very cleanly with something. So I have a couple of entries to this trade. One is the old, there's volume breaking 20 even. Let's get a piece in case it never comes back beneath 20. And then wait for that dip at the open price. Now here it just happens to coincide with pre-market support, but once it got into the range beneath 1980, didn't get out below 40s, which is that other level we're looking at here on the daily chart. Once I saw that, it's like, no, get in. Want that first bounce, there wasn't another one. Like that was it. There was that one move, doesn't get out the bottom end of the zone, and you had to get into the upside. That's me adding to the position. Now I'm going to do that patented thing where your first exit on a trending trade, a lot of times is that first spot where sometimes you should be adding to it. I actually had this conversation with Arun. Like when I'm getting out here for a couple of scalp trades in that first couple of minutes, that's almost a double top breakout with the support now set in. You could actually be adding to this, whereas a day trader, I'm often taking shares out, saying, oh my goodness, you're just going to give me 60, 70 cents on a 19.80 or a $20 average price entry. That looks real good sometimes. But sometimes you need to be holding it a little bit more. I have no issues getting out here once we see that 20.5. As a matter of fact, you had a curl for a dip. I was sitting a little bit tighter to 20 to try to catch the dip by, so I didn't actually get it. And then I'm just trailing it because I had a target 21 to 21.50 when I pulled the daily chart back even further. And once we got up, broke 21 and didn't get that next push. I threw my trailing stop in, probably too tight and got trailed out. It doesn't get to 50s anyways, so I probably would have hit that trail. And here's where sometimes you throw bad, you throw back bad money after the good. I'm thinking, let's try and rinse and repeat, little VWAP up-down action, get some on the way down. And I don't like this trade, to be honest with you guys. Sometimes what I'm doing here is I'm seeing VWAP, and I'm like, if we hold VWAP, I'll get a little bit of a bounce. And if we trend back to the upside, I'll add on the way back up. If it goes down, I'll try the over-under, grab a support trade, and then I've got a nice blended price pretty much at VWAP. If it climbs back above, and hold on to it. However, at the point where I'm getting out and it's breaking that low, the market was trending and I was all short the market and said, I don't want any piece of this. That's too cute of a trade. Let's just get out. Let's not give back to the day that we had. Sometimes the best trade on earnings is the explosive move up initially. Capture that, get more efficient at that, and worry about the rest later. Making the trades after and catching these bottoms, to me, is not how you make more money on DraftKings. It is getting more shares in here and not taking that initial out and holding more for these other peaks. That's how you get better at that trade. It is the trade of the day, and it was one of my best today, but lots that we could have done better, including adding at that first point instead of subtracting.
Pretty impressive for DraftKings, nevertheless, up 16%. Been a long time since we could say that. DraftKings among everything that was on that list this morning. Make sure you grab the watch list, guys, every day. We send it out before we come on at 8:30 for free, if I didn't mention that. Let's jump into a few things here. I'm just seeing this one popping up again. WWE. Yeah, went all the way up here to 91.5 on a note. I'll show you in a sec. Now 3%. Looks like, Brad, your UFC owner, Endeavor, going to be the likely bidder here, according to Bloomberg, for $9 billion worth of the WWE. So Vince McMahon wants $9 billion. UFC owner, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Could pick that up. So rejecting 90 right now, but anyone doing that math will come up with a per share price. Let's talk about Tesla here. We started things off this morning with Tesla. There wasn't anything really in the way of additional news. We mentioned this New York story that came out of a couple of factories. There was some union chatter, and then a few people got fired, and then Elon came out and said it had nothing to do with the union chatter that they were fired. There was cause and everything else. But anyways, Tesla back to the upside. There was that quote-unquote recall that ended up being just a software update, so he was a little bit upset about that as well. Tesla, though, interesting day here, guys, back and forth.
Yeah, Tesla was a good one. Now, see, the thing is, I did better on Tesla than DraftKings, probably because it was a little bit cleaner. But at the end of the day, like it was a better learning experience on DraftKings, and that's why I think we do some of these. And reasoner, like he has to say that for the reason. Like, what's he gonna say? Oh yeah, they were trying to form a union, so we fired him and got rid of him. It's just absolutely like it matters what he says, but come on, like it is what it is. I'm going to leave it at that because we don't get into that kind of thing. But Tesla, I was looking at the fall off that we had in yesterday's trade and just looking for that short. What I saw was a fail of the break at 215 and then the breakdown in the afternoon, which it's not fun if you were long that stock, but it was fun if you were short, that's for sure. And it started at 210 rolling over, and then there were some entries at 205, and I think the last one we had was like 04. So I just looked back to those same levels when it started spiking to the upside. Just didn't quite have enough conviction with it. So we're shorting the 04 half, getting a couple of bucks. I didn't jump back into the trend till it was uptrending, which sucked. So I was able to scalp some out here, shorting the 01s again. And now you're right back, getting pretty darn close to this 05 level. Now the way this is set up is the market is, the NASDAQ's down 1.25 and the ES maybe half that. But Tesla is up almost 1 full percent. So suddenly, Tesla breaking out here at 205 isn't that bad of a trade. From a person who was going only short this morning, it's an interesting look for me. Now, I probably want the short in front of 05 first, somewhere in here where we had it before. But you could see a breakout. I can definitely see a trend forming here where you can buy dips in front of 2s and VWAP as well. The only trade I'm in right now is short Alibaba because it took 100 and we liked it. But that 05, that's starting to look pretty juicy. Actually getting there a lot quicker than I anticipated here.
Yeah, well, Tesla hasn't done a whole lot for me. We talked about it this morning. If we can go to my screen there. I was looking for some wide ranges. I wasn't going to play in the middle, and guess what Tesla does? Chops right through the middle. So they're rotating around that 200. up and down a few bucks, not interesting for me. So if we can get above 210 and into the 212, preferably close to 215 towards that 220, sure, I'll play there. Or into that 195 going down to 190, I'll play there as well. But at 203, no. It's not for me, not for the way I trade, but scalpers, you saw what's called Sharif was in making money on that one. They're down at 198. So there's money to be made. It's just a matter of how are you going to make it. And with the position board, I've got one short. It's not showing there because I need to take a position to refresh the board or whatever. But it is snow short, just underneath 154.
Keep saying pump it.
Let's talk about Roku, shall we? Another one that was making a bit of a move anyways, pre-market this morning. Back to the upside on this B of A note that came out. So this was the initial pop up to 75. Comes back in throughout the morning, though. We get all the way down to 68.5. A double upgrade coming from Roku. If you zoom out a little bit, remember earnings better than expected 2 nights ago. Yesterday didn't really do much. Kind of tested lower, tested higher, ends up right in the middle. So here we are again, guys. 70.5, 71. Bit of a sticking point here for Roku.
I got out of my Roku long too early. We'll leave it at that. But I always get out too early. You guys know that. Time and time again, I had the bottom on Roku because we were waiting very, very patiently for one price. Well, one price area. So it always seems random where you pick it up, but it's not random when you look at the higher time frame chart. Same thing with DraftKings, right? Like this is broken out 67 on the daily. That's your top. Your 200 period sits at 68.50. So until it gets down into that range, I don't want to touch it. Well, what's wrong with my 15-minute? Let's go back to the 3. So once you got this candle, which I was probably early here. I wasn't probably. I was early at 69. But then once it gets in, this is 68.50 that we talked about. Doesn't come out the back end. Bounces at 68.40. Okay, so it's in the range. Grab that on the way back. And I'll tell you this 10 times out of 10. FOMO, that's the FOMO entry. This is the only entry that you want. And on top of that, this is, if I don't have it, if I don't take this here, that's 69.10, the first entry, then this is where you add to it on that higher low. Like it bounces a higher low, you're adding, and it's 25 pennies better, right? So the first bounce, you're able to get like 60s up to 40s. That's like 75 to 80 pennies worth it. But it's even better if instead of adding here, you're adding there, getting extra 25 cents out of the move. So then suddenly this turns into like almost $1 on the trade. But I do trail out of it. I was just really concerned with that 70 level. Like there was a huge flush of selling at 70. So when I saw it make the same over-under in front of VWAP, and again, just like DraftKings, the market was pretty weak at this point in my defense. So I had that itchy trigger finger to get out of the longs that were good right around that end of the show. So I jumped out of this, probably too early, trailed out at 69.75. The last of it was about $1 and change, only to see it get to that 71, which oddly enough was kind of what I was targeting earlier. It never came down to any levels that I like, so didn't re-enter the trade. Kind of one and done. I wanted one dip buy into one area on Roku. We got it. It can always be better. I'm almost always saying one of the first 2 entries I don't like. I didn't have an issue with any of my outs, though. I thought all the outs were pretty good on Roku. And Tesla, close but no cigar just now. Yeah, like I thought we were going to 05s there. And of course, for whatever reason, 04 half is the level. And I keep thinking it's going to be 05. This morning, I was out in front of it shorting 204.50. And this time, I don't short 204.50. And 204.50 is once again the turn on Tesla. You know what? It's like if it goes to 05, you don't want 05. That's what I'm kind of thinking here.
Yeah, well, Roku is what we were looking at it, and it was going to be a play for 70. And now, to be fair, there is a potential trade here, but also it's Friday. It's after 2 o'clock. Volume's kind of not there. Market's really not able to stabilize above 70. Do I really want to go long on Roku? The answer is going to be no. I'm shutting it down. In terms of trades, I've got one trade on the table here, which is my snow short from earlier. I took this during like lunchtime, just after the European close, actually. And if I can find a futures trade, great. I haven't taken a futures trade since the morning, by the way. So I'm still waiting for something that's clear that I can actually take. Apart from that, Roku, as great as a setup like this could be, because it is showing you strength south of 70, which means that the 70 level is going to hold up. We had marked off 68 towards that 75. It's still on the table, but it's just sometimes you just got to pass upon these trades. If the day is looking a certain way, and with the volume the way it is, do you really want to put more risk on the table? And I think in this situation, I'm going to say no to that. But any other day, if we had more time, Roku definitely around that 70 long towards that 75.
There's a SpaceX launch underway right now, which is so cool to watch live. DoorDash, guys, back on watch as well off of earnings. Pretty impressive in the pre-market for Dash. It was the forecast, the share buyback. The actual numbers missed. It was a wider loss, but you throw a share buyback program on top of that, and everyone seems to forget about the negativity.
Yeah, it's just like sprinkle a little, you know what, on it. Share buyback. It's something else in the Chappelle sketch, but I suppose I'm not supposed to say that. Sprinkle a little crack on. Anyways, I was just turning to Arun and said, this is how, when you lose and you're like, I lost on this trade, and this was my worst trade this morning, but I'm also the most happy about it because I had the level that I wanted pegged to buy this on the dip. The dip was like disgusting, by the way. So the same thing, all these other setups that we have here that work, like, well, not the other two, like DraftKings and we were just talking about Roku. There's your level 66 on the daily. I'm like, okay, well, let's wait for it to make a move down in there. And if it can hold that support that it put in yesterday around that same level off of the daily, then great. I'm looking for that bounce. It looked like it was bouncing off it. I got into position. This is a 15-minute chart, by the way. I like the 15 because it puts this into perspective more and why you have to get the heck out of Dodge. Just accept that you're wrong. You won't see, like, it runs past my stop. I'm out. There's no more adding to it thinking, oh, this long is going to work. When it actually recovers for a brief second, well, it's not really a brief second. When it recovers on the next 15-minute candle and reclaims 60, like my stop level, which is just under 67, I'm not getting back in. I'm not fighting the trade. I'm just out. Now, I will say this. It then established itself beneath that level and probably turned into a short. So at some point in here, I should have been looking like 65 short into 66 because there was so much room to get all the way back down from there to the 200 period moving average. That's like $3.5, $4 worth of room. And you've got shorts. You know 66, 67 is your level in the other direction. So there's plenty of, you have room to work that short for sure. And I could have flipped it. But sometimes getting out is the best you can do when not fighting the stock. My style, if I make the top wick and it goes to 75, I don't care. I'm out. And unless it gets back above these prices, I'm not really looking to get back into it. It never did, so we took the hit and ran.
There's one trade. It was the one that Neil took. If you're not willing to reverse it, there's nothing left. That's pretty much it. I was waiting for the 72 break to the top. That would have been the easier trade because we were, given how high we had gone in the initial spike there, we had a chance to go towards that again. If we got above 72, we had a chance to go to that. We did not, so we broke down. And if you break down, then it becomes a mess. What's your risk? How far does it go before it hits its first support level? Let's just say you take 68 or south of 68 into that 67 area. Well, 72 is your stop. You're risking at least 4 and change. Can you make it down to 64? Possibly, maybe, depending on how fast it goes. It's a 1-to-1. Can you make it past 66? That's the question that needs to be answered. Just in doing that, you know, the questioning of whether you can actually make the risk back, it makes you quite, well, at least for me anyways, it makes me question whether the trade is actually worth a shot. Now, that's why I only like the 72 because we actually had space to the upside. So that didn't happen. Now, Dash is back down. What do you do in this situation? Well, you keep the 72, and it's bound to come back into these 65, 66s and see how high it gets before it starts to lose interest and starts to head back down. At that point, the risk might make sense towards the high 50s again. So risking, you know, a few bucks there towards the low 60s, high 50s, that could make sense later on. But in terms of today's trade for Dash, you had to be on it this morning. If you weren't, you got nothing left.
What just happened on Meta?
Yeah, Pride, let's go to
All right, let's go to Apple here. We had it on the board this morning along with the rest of big tech, but still a bit of a interesting look here for all of these today. It was initially big tech that was leading the NASDAQ to the downside. We are seeing a little bit of a bounce, but Google, Twitter, this is just a minor note. EU online regulator looking at content rules once again that could affect all of these. but nothing significant as far as individual news on these today. But just seeing this Meta move at the moment, we'll check on that.
Yeah, so like the one I was trading this morning, which I got away from it, and we talked about this not making as much sense as we thought it would, was how like Meta's set up for a really good short. At least I mean, it wasn't bad, but it's set up for a really, really good short, I thought. And I know like, I didn't trade Apple, and in big tech, it was Meta that I liked, and you got to stick to what you like. It had this sort of stair-step thing. After the gap to the upside, this is 181. The previous support doesn't get to 200. Now I can zoom away and not have to deal with that anymore. And then once it broke down that 181, it kind of turned into this resistance level with a bottom at essentially 173. Now yesterday, we were breaking that level, that 173 down. So you open today beneath 173. So I try to make it as not as complicated as possible. Well, if I liked in that last channel shorts to 181, well, I like shorts to 173. And at the open, it looked like we were going to get them. I got in early at 72s thinking, okay, it's going to float in here, and we're going to be adding on the way down, and it never got there. And then it would come down, and it would not flush through 171, even when the market was weak. Then it would come back up, get to 72, show no interest in going higher, and then not really flush when the market flushed. So I kept getting out, scalping it out. I ended up trailing this out when it could not take down 170. So no matter how weak the market was, Meta never wanted to break 170. And no matter how strong things looked, it just wouldn't get into the zone where I wanted to load up at 173. So I just stopped trading it, which was a mistake because maybe the long at 170 was the play. Not maybe, it was the play. So long at 170 was the play. Somebody got it in the midday show. One of you two guys got it, I'm sure. And I'm sure a bunch of you probably had this Meta long as well because I had my eyes set on one thing in that short and kind of lost sight that, hey, if it's not going down the way you want it to, well, maybe, McFly, it's a long and 170 is the obvious level. So I think you're playing this, and not that you're going to get it, but I think you're playing longs off 170 this afternoon. You're probably not getting them. And I don't trust the breakout up here. So I don't trust the 172 break because I go back to the original thesis that I think 173 is resistance. And if that's the case, I'm not chasing it. Here is Tesla at 204.50 again. And with that theory that if it gets to 205, I don't necessarily want it. I've now shorted 204.50, which means promptly it's actually going to go to 205. So we'll see. It's worked every time I've done it, which probably means it's not going to work now. But 50 cents worth of risk plus slippage, because that's a real thing, is worth it for me on Tesla. But yeah, as usual, when I don't take it, good. When I do take it, here comes the stop.
Well, we're talking about Apple and Apple's weakness and whatnot. It's an index name, so you got to keep an eye on that one there. Microsoft is also weak, both index names, but there are different kinds of weaknesses. There are times where you really do have to worry about the stock, and there are times where it could just be part of the noise, right? In today's chart and today's trade, I'm not too worried about Apple. The way it's been moving, it's working inside of a range. There's going to be days where it's going to be up, and there's going to be days where it's going to be down, and it still hasn't really gone anywhere, and that's kind of what Apple's in right now. Unless we clear that top end, which I'm going to say which sits around 158, or the bottom around 148, unless we move outside of that band, our 2% days or 3% days in Apple, does it really make a difference if we haven't left the range yet? All you have to do is just worry about the top and bottoms and see if this can actually get past that. Up until that point, this 1% down on the day could easily turn into a flat day or even up a little bit. It really makes no difference. So for me, it's a range. Just like Tesla, you're playing the top end or the bottom end of the range. And right now, the way Apple's playing, that's the way I want to play it. Play it near the top, play it near the bottom, everything in the middle, just ignore it. That's the way at least I go about kind of reducing the noise, because when it goes back to what you were talking about Meta, right? It's like, oh, well, we were looking for one trade, but we didn't get it. So then we stopped trading it. And because I was in this as well. And maybe that was the bad, like we should have kept trading it. Well, to me, I'm thinking, I'm looking for one trade. If I don't get that trade, I move on, because I can't worry about the noise. Because if I say, oh, I'm going to stick with it, how much time and effort am I going to put into getting other trades going? It's always like you keep going back to it. Instead of finding other stocks that fit your criteria, you're trying to fit a criteria to this stock, which could work. And in today's case, it could have worked, sure, but you can say that after the fact, right? So for me, I think looking for trades that are already setting up based on what you're looking for is much better than going for, oh, we're dropping more stuff, going for names that are just for the sake of moving, right? So I think Meta does have a potential, but it's going to have to be that short that we were looking at this morning here, north of that 172, a failed break, preferably close to 173. That ends up being a short. That's what I'm looking for. Still from this morning. We never got it this morning. Let's see if we get it in the afternoon.
I have no idea what just fell.
Cable.
Things up here if you missed it this morning. Impressive move nonetheless throughout the day, but even pre-market this morning we were gapping up better part of 8%. The full year outlook, Q4 results both beating top and bottom line were both better than expected. As far as the overall move, that's not the chart, but as far as the overall move is concerned, we're trying, guys, right now to get back to day highs, even as we speak here for DKNG.
Yeah, the longs are going to be in. So obviously 05 broke in Tesla. You guys all saw that. So we'll slap the fail on that one. DraftKings, you know, it's interesting. Like, it's back off VWAP here. And this isn't that, it's not bad from a price perspective, that 20.5, what it's giving you. But what it's not giving you is any actual action. Like, it's trying to break out, but I'm seeing Tesla screaming, Meta strong. Actually, Meta's pulling back. This might be the chance to get into Meta. If it just creeps a little closer down to 71s, it might be a chance to get in. I'd like to see the volume pick up here on DraftKings before I consider it. That was the problem earlier. Like, volume was just dying, and the early move was a good one. So I want to see it pick up before I'm carrying anything, you know, above this 2050 level into the long side of it. A lot of times when you have, like, this stock had baseline off 16 bucks, and then you were already in the aftermarket hitting like 19 and a half. You're staring 20 at the open. There's that one push, but at that point, when it gets to 21, it's already done 40% in half a week. So you know it's unlikely to be that super exciting unless the market does something stupid. So probably going to be not worth it to do anything crazy here on DraftKings for me. I'm looking at some of these other names like Tesla, picking up a dip buy in Tesla on the way back to enter the longs around 2s and 3s. That's a little bit more appealing for me. So I'm going to stay away here from DraftKings unless the volume picks up.
I mean, DraftKings, we talked about it this morning. It was either going to be a move that confirmed that 1850, at which point the risk makes sense, or it was going to turn around and go right through 20, at which point it was going to accelerate. Risk didn't make any more sense. That's a scalper's trade. I'm not a scalper. So for anyone who is a scalper, you're all over that 20 break, right? You're trying to take it maybe 50 cents, $1, whatever it is. For me, I want to position this thing. So if I can't get what I'm looking for, I move on, and DKNG did not go down to that 1850 to see what's down there. So here we are, kind of sitting at north of 2050. Now, given that this has already happened, you could still set this up. Just because it went up today, just because it's up 15% today, does not mean that it's going to continue going. There could be a day where it goes sideways or even down a little bit. That could be the opportunity to pick up some longs down towards that support level. Don't delete the lines that you're drawing out right now. So I'm saying between 1850 to 17, there could still be some buying that's, you know, that shows up in a few days, maybe next week, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it is, and we can still go for that long. Not today, another day perhaps, but save it for later. In this situation, the move's been made. Let's come back to it another time and see if we can do it again. Yeah, we can go to Brendan there, Brad.
Can we come back to me for a quick? Come back to me for a quick second, because I want to talk about Alibaba here, and sort of there was a question about what I think about Alibaba in terms of showing weakness next week. Like, will it show weakness as that chart just dies? But look at what's happening here on a flat bottom break. The reason I'm only in one short, well, A, because Tesla got stopped out. That's half of the reason. But the reason I'm in only Alibaba, and I don't necessarily want to give it up, is flat bottom break at 102, the single greatest term ever coined on Trader TV history by myself. Kidding, it was a Professor Sharif that made that one up. So 50 period gone, 102 gone, 100 gone, 200 period at $94. Into their earnings, when you know how these Chinese names can go crazy, I just smelt weakness. I tried it once and failed. And when it broke the bottom again at 100, I said, I'm taking that again. So the short was either off that 102, which obviously never happened, or it was off that 100 break, which I just decided I really liked. And when I was in it, I took it at like 99.85 a couple of times, and then it went in the money about 25 cents. I'm like, nah, I don't want that. I'll only take a scalp out there if I can add back in. So I got more, decided I'd scalp out those shares, and then took my first exit here at 50s of the original entry point, and then didn't take anything when it was at 99.25 because, quite frankly, I'm being greedy about this. And as it comes back up, I'm actually looking to add to the position at 99.80. I just want everything in front of 100, and if it gets above VWAP and starts holding, well, then I'll give up this trade, because it just feels to me when a level like that breaks, I want to be in the short until proven invalid. And the market has been screaming, and Bob has been gently gliding to the downside. Sometimes greed is good. I'm just looking for one of those late day flushes in Alibaba off this level. It's a Friday, it's a third Friday. And look, it's either going to get to 100, it's either going to get back above 100 or it's not. And if it's not going to get back above 100, I think there's a decent chance you could have a big flush. So as tight as my risk is to that 100 level, I feel like the risk to reward is a no-brainer at this point. It doesn't mean it can't lose. It just means I want to be a little greedy with this.
And that's something to be said too. Is like, it's a Friday going into a long weekend. What are people thinking?
Yep.
Sell it and go. Which then makes me think the exposure is to the upside, not necessarily to the downside, because everyone's thinking short. So where are you going to put your stops? Above the high from this morning, which sits around, on the futures at least, sits around 87.75. What happens if we get back to 85? You think they're going to go for the high? Definitely. So what I'm thinking now is, we don't have the long. We priced ourselves out of the long. Remember, we had the long early, and then it got messy, and then I passed up on the long down here. I had a chance to get some 60s. I'm like, no, I don't like the idea of pricing this down here when I know that just 70 to 75 is already a problem. So I wanted to see more action through the bottom. We barely got through that 56, 55 area. So if we were able to get to 50 and come back in, I would have, probably taken the long. But now, forget that, the longs are gone. Now what do? I want to see what happens if we get above the day highs. A day high push that ends up failing is the type of trade that makes sense at this point in the day, or at this point in time, going into end of the week, options expiration, holiday, whatever. All of that put together makes me think the exposure is to the upside. Let's see if we can get some stops taken out north of 90, and then come back in and see if we can ride a short back down. That would make the most sense. This market is trying to make a push towards that. Let's see if that's the case. And my short is holding on. It's not reacting at all. Yeah, the snow short is holding on. It's not reacting to this move in the futures at all, which is a good thing for me. That means relative weakness going into the end of the day, at least on snow. But the only thing with equity positions on a day like today is you got to worry about the imbalances, right? Because they're going to be unusually large because of the options expiration. So it's going to have to be very closely managed as we get closer to that 350 release, just because of the exposure at the imbalance. These stocks will react aggressively to the imbalances, especially on a name like Snow, which is down 7% on the day.
Yeah, some of these crypto names are getting pretty spicy. SI is about to go green. A little spicier if it gets above VWAP, but I'm looking more at Coinbase, which a lot of you guys are talking about. Hit enter too fast there. Which a lot of you guys have been talking about in the chat, which I appreciate. Back above this 63, it kind of did, a little somewhat double bottom at 63, for lack of a better term, and then you sort of held up there. So if you were trading the trend on Coinbase, there's probably some shorts that were aggressive enough to be short here. That are kind of still holding out hope that you're going to follow the trend, and they're waiting for like 64 to stop out. That's just a guess, but probably the case. And you just had an up down at 63. This looks like a long off of here, off of 63, because I just convinced myself that I want to take a shot trading Tesla above 05s, and if I can get something tight to 05, I might do it, but I might take a shot at this 63. I am looking for some longs in here. I know I still like Meta at 73, so I'm going to hold off on going long up there, but Tesla's strong enough. Coinbase showing me signs in front of 63, it can make sense. Breno?
There was a decent move to the upside on Carvana, CVNA. I was digging around trying to find something as to what kicked this off, but found this. Tip Ranks, guys, saying a binary bet is CVNA, saying, we're pretty sure it won't go bankrupt. Sounds good to me, I guess. CVNA trying to get higher.
Trust me, bro, we're not going bankrupt. Come on.
We're pretty sure we're not going to go bankrupt, okay?
If the market wasn't doing what it's doing right now, I'd say just get some short Carvana when that's the news, but that's not necessarily a reason. But I want to take a look at that in a quick second, but Tesla's going nuts, and I just got into Coinbase. I want to give it to this consolidation, maybe even add down here 6280s if it comes down to 6280s. I just think VWAP is a reasonable target. I had just convinced myself that I wanted to get some Tesla when it was kind of doing a thing around here at 05 where it was giving you a shot at the quarter. That's what I wanted. I wanted the quarter so that I didn't have to. I don't want a long 6 at this time of day. If you fail a breakout at 5 and you're taking 6, I'm not sure you're wrong when it's back beneath 5. So the further away it gets from 6, I don't really like what the stop is going to be on the trade. So I want something tighter to 5. That makes more sense. But I am looking for that meta. It's starting to climb a little bit higher. It does make some sense to me. And look, CVNA. It's not that I don't think there's going to be an opportunity to fade something like that, but when that's the news, I want it making before I would fade it, I would want to make like a real parabolic move into an obvious point of resistance where people are trapped. And you can see on the daily, it's nowhere close to doing any of that nonsense. And I got to go back and get my 15-minute back, but it's not doing any of that. Like it has to probably get another $1 before that auto short sort of comes into play, like $12.50 to $13 on the daily chart is what I would be eyeballing. Just on the off chance we get a big enough squeeze to the upside, another 10% is what I'd have to see to pay for locates and then go ahead and short it.
Those names were hot at one point, right? Because I wasn't really trading
There was a day
them,
last week. Or was it this week? I think it was last week.
But Carvana, okay. I mean, sure. I don't even. I'm just looking at the chart going.
You gonna pay for the locates?
I mean, I'm not gonna pay for the locates, but I mean, would I think of a long? Maybe 13 long? I don't know. If I'm here.
Maybe there's.
One of you guys
long.
take a vacation when 13 breaks, I'll be all over it.
So you're gonna set an alert for 13.
Well,
see, that's sort of the thing. Like that's where you want these things. You want them, like because the bigger trades on some of these, and you know what? Not to go back to Carvana when the market's moving, but I think you're making a good point there that we should expand on. So the bigger trades, when you have like the big name short my 15 minutes back, when you have the big names that are crushing it, like the hedge funds, and they're short all this nonsense, and they're in the money and it's deep. Like until it starts breaking one of these trends, like look at, if you draw a trend line here, like where's the actual break? And, you know, it doesn't really break out from here until you get back above the 50. That's 1 point. If you're to redraw it, it needs to, at least on this move, it has to get past 13. And then for a lot of them, it has to get past 20. That's where you actually get the more, I guess, parabolic type moves, right? When you get to some of these pain levels, especially at the options eligible, like 20 and 15 are huge for it. But until this gets to 13, nobody that's short this from anywhere reasonable cares. Like they're still just, this is great. Have fun. I can probably get more. Like it looks great for a day trade, but yeah, until it gets to 13, like that's a breakout that can carry. Like this break here, that's a scalp trade. But when you're looking for 15, 20, 30%, those types of moves, that's not going to happen until you really clear out. Unless you just sit in a swing long off 10 and wait around for it to get to 13. But as a day trader, the big moves as a day trader aren't going to happen around these prices. At least, that's just my opinion. So I'm still looking for a couple of other things. We got Coinbase. Still looking for Tesla longs, and I keep checking. When I look up like that, I'm looking at Meta, saying why is Meta not going to, why is it not going back up to 173 so I can get it? I just want my 73s. I don't think I'm asking too much. I think I'm being very reasonable. The market is strong enough for us to get there, and I want to short up here at 173 on Meta. Like that's the one short, if the market keeps booming, that I know I want to grab. That's not Alibaba.
Yeah, Meta is such a weird thing too. It's like we were looking for that trade north of 172 that cracked and then failed, and then it wasn't reacting to up moves. It also wasn't reacting down moves in the market. It just was doing its own thing, and now with the market I guess it's breaking out. I mean, it's breaking above 80 at least and going towards those highs. And Meta is not even trying to take a shot at that 172 area. It's just sitting here at 171 and 70. So where's the action, Meta? Maybe not today. Like I said, don't waste your time and capital on names that aren't corresponding to what you want to do in this market. There's going to be names that are moving. Let's take a quick look at some index names that have had a rough day of it. Microsoft specifically, is that moving to the upside now? It should be, barely. Okay, so where's the strength coming from? It's not from Microsoft.
Apple, maybe?
Yeah, I'm looking at Apple.
I mean, Tesla, obviously. Coinbase
Yeah.
starting to go.
Apple's got some strength there, but Apple's stuck in this wide range too. So, yeah, how far is this going to go before we lose it? And that's the question. Going back to the futures, how far does it go before we lose it? Again, like I said, highs. Those highs are our target. What happens after those highs will dictate how this market ends of the day. If we get above 40.90 and we are not getting any volume to push higher apart from the stops going off, this market will come back right back down into that 75 area. It seems like 75 to 80 seems to be the sweet spot. So if this market takes out the highs and we can't get going, yeah, that's coming. I would think 75 to 80 would be the next target. Flip side of that is if we get above the highs and we find acceleration, that makes the end of the day that much more exciting. And I think that's going to be the easier trade versus the lack of volume, because then you got to figure out where your stops are in terms of bring the short in and whatnot. But for now, the market is still working 80, still trying to take the shot at the highs here. We've tried here multiple times this morning, failed both times miserably, and then went through the 60s, caught a nice little bid. It's been sideways for the most part, between 60 and 80 it seems, and now we're taking a shot at the top end. Do not be surprised if there's some sort of sell wave that comes in and brings it right back down. We've seen it happen before, so I mean, I'm short here, and my short's finally reacting to the market. It's as strong as the market is. My snow short is finally drifting upside. So maybe an accelerated. Oh, you can't even see it. Yeah, I'll just kind of here. It's this one. As it's drifting up, if this market accelerates, I probably would get out of this. But at the same time, again, it's drifting when the market's actually accelerating.
Not bad.
It's not bad at all. I'm not too worried about this one. But for now, worry about the 80s and what's above there.
So two things, now three things actually. One, I did get some out in the 70s on Coinbase, looking for the dip to 63. Remember 63 was the price we liked. So get some out, scalp trade, then get some, hopefully get some more long, or sometimes you get that fill, you don't want that fill. I did reload Alibaba because, I said this is the one I like. It did an over-under here at like 99.75. Over-under means break a consolidation, then sort of give you a bit of a wick. Okay, well, I'm looking for that curl, so I'm going to add into the position. I still have some left over from the 80s, so you'll see a blended price overall. But yeah, I just grabbed that short, looking for that to continue the trend. And then Tesla decided to pick me up. Every now and then, it's like, okay, I don't want to chase it, and then you get one of these fills, right? It's basically gradually going higher. Like, yeah, just come and pick me up. And then when it picks you up, it does so violently, and then you instantly are like, why wasn't I more patient with this trade? And then you're talking to yourself like I am now and getting half out if it goes halfway to the upside, because this could be a reversal. So I always say sometimes it matters how you get the fill. I don't mind long off the 05 level, but that's generally not the way I was looking to get the trade. Like, I was looking for a little bit more of a gradual step to the upside, like it was doing before when I got sopped out of the short. But I'm in the long now. I like it. I like Coinbase if I can get the reload. And if I'm short something, it's going to be BABA in front of 100, and it's going to be Meta if I ever get it at 173. Kind of ridiculous that Meta just doesn't care. It's like, market's strong, go to the price so I can short you. Apple, I'm not seeing anything on Apple. Microsoft, if you're looking at the big tech names, again, like this, if anything, like Microsoft might actually just still be like a little bit of a short off VWAP if you like it. So I'm going to stay away from that name. Tesla's moving. That's why we're there. Meta just put in a decent range as well. So I think I like that one. And with Bitcoin moving, Coinbase kind of goes for itself. But I do want to go back over to DraftKings, because this is one that I'm looking for the volume. Like, it's making the nice gradual move up. So you are seeing it climb, but I'm not seeing the volume. So I kind of like it a little more, but not a lot more, if that makes any sense. Like, I want the long in DraftKings, but I don't love the long in DraftKings. Usually that means you don't take the trade, but it is strong. It's up that 16%. There is some support here at that 50 level. If it drifts down and starts going sideways, I'll jump in the next consolidation and maybe just take it in front of 50. But I'm not going to chase it up at 72. I'll wait for it to come down 20 cents or so.
Going back to Tesla, and I just got a question for the viewers too, is given that cars are more like computers now, if you need to do a software update that's not maintenance related, right? Is that not considered a recall? Because it's a computer at this point. Like, if you have a computer, what's the physical thing that you're going to need to kind of bring back to the shop, right? Is it an airbag thing? That's different. But if it's like a computer, then would you say that an update, like a software update, that's not part of maintenance, is a recall? Is that a recall or not? I think it's a recall. That's just my opinion.
But it's all semantics at that point.
Definitely.
I think like the way to think about it would be like, what does it actually matter to the company? Like a recall, like, so Like the reason a recall matters is because it's an inconvenience. Is it an inconvenience to the owners to the point that if there's a bunch of them, they might not buy that vehicle from that brand again? Like that'd be the first part. And the second part is how much does it cost? So how much does it cost them, and how inconvenient is it, and how much bad will it put in? Well, if it's a really cheap software patch, and the user's like, yeah, that wasn't very inconvenient at all, then should you put it in the same category as maybe a more serious one from Ford? I don't think so. So yes, while semantically, yeah, it probably qualifies as a recall, but at the end of the day, the things that make it matter to the company or the market might not qualify there. And I say that having been the person yesterday, for all the reasons that Tesla was a great short in the afternoon, whether it was Bullard and Mester, whether it was the talk of the recall, it was a great short. You guys saw it was a great short. It didn't matter what you really thought of it yesterday. You just had to recognize it was a short. Now today it's a bit of a different story. Like I think the market's waking up and saying, yeah, maybe it's not that big of a deal because look what happened beneath that 199. You know, like what the heck am I doing shorting here? I always look back at this. That's 201. It's a level there. But what really happened is, see this channel? Sorry to do this, guys, but when I see it, it's like I can't ignore it. That's 05. That's 99. So this is the bottom where we're shorting in the afternoon. You're 05, there's your low, you hold it in the pre-market, you double top it, you make this wick bottom break, and then reestablish the support. So when I'm getting out of that, that is the money long right there. That is the money long on Tesla at 200. You can either give it back to 99 or you can give it back to 97 depending on your risk. It's wicked the bottom and it's reversed the trend, and it even gives you, look at that crap, it even gives you another dip right in the same price, double bottom, so you can go long here or you can go long there. Every now and then you got a bias in the stock and you don't see the chart for what it is, but that is a false bottom that trapped shorts underneath 99 and really was just a long after that. But I'm sitting there, let's short it and scalp it. But anyways, I'm long it now, $4 later. Sorry, $5 later, $5.50 later, whatever you want to call it. It's just, sometimes you see that and it's like, what the heck? When in doubt, zoom out, get that bigger picture, because if I'm looking at it like this, off of my morning, right, all I'm seeing is downward trend. Oh, I should have shorted here, should have shorted here. Oh, when it does this, let's just short it here. That's fine, it's still within the trend. But when you zoom out a little bit more, what I actually see is it rejecting that further move to the downside and wanting to go up. So sometimes you just got to be able to zoom out and get a better picture of what's actually going on with the price action. Well, it's going higher now, so we can celebrate that long. It's not very good for Alibaba if it cracks 100, though.
Yeah, and futures, it's doing what I need it to do. This is somewhat, I'm taking less, but I still think there's something here, so I'm going to take a small shot here at the short in front of 80. We tried to make a run, we failed. We got the selling coming in. Now we're taking another run. Let's see if we actually get some acceleration. I'm not going to stay too long in this, but I do want to play with this top end of the resistance. We've repeatedly seen selling here around 80. Let's see if this holds up. Yes, the buy zone, but the buy zone's kind of weak down here, so it's going to be somewhere below 60. Let's see if we can get a move down towards at least the mid-70s going into a Friday. That's the kind of play I'm going for. If this accelerates, then obviously I'm done. But at the same time, I want to give it a chance just to see if we can actually make a move on this. And Snow still drifting to the upside and not doing a whole lot. So I got nothing left here on Snow. And what else we got here? Nothing, right? Do I have any alert? Oh, McDonald's? I guess I had McDonald's. McDonald's was the trade that I was trying to get my hands on earlier. I pulled the order now, but McDonald's was just a nice little consolidation break. If we're setting up trades for another day, this is a pretty good one, actually. This has been sideways since pretty much the beginning of the year. And we're finally getting a move above this what is this, high, around 268, 269-ish. We're finally above there. Now, what I want to keep an eye on is how this trades, not today, but Tuesday. If we come back into that 268 and catch a bid, there's a good chance that we actually have a move all the way into the 270s. So keep an eye on this. This trade is not available today, but definitely keep an eye on this, because these are the types of setups that you can use further on, like when you sell or you're looking for trades on another day, maybe later next week, that if it's coming back into support or previous resistance, there's a chance for a nice bounce. Let's keep an eye on this one, or you guys should keep an eye on this one here on McDonald's here going into next week.
Yeah, I was just, first off, comp SRX, Wanting to wish me a fun trip next week.
Where are you going?
The weather should be nice during training. I'm not going anywhere next
Okay,
week.
I was
Spring
gonna say.
training's so like I know pitchers and catchers report for baseball, but I'm not going until mid-March. So that's when I'm heading down to Florida to see a little ball because I'm a baseball fan, big Jays fan. So that is what it is. But I am going to enjoy it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to apologize. It's fine. If I could spend the entire month in spring training reasonably, I probably would. But that's probably when I'm retired or something like that. Which will be a long time from now, hopefully, with any luck, because they can rip me away from this chair, and I'll probably still fight it at that point. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy it. It's crap weather here, so anytime you can get out of Canada in February and go to Florida, you're going to be happy. But I'm not going till March. And I was saying in the chat, if I wasn't long coin, I probably would be looking at this Silvergate. I think I said I prefer Coinbase to Silvergate, and probably a distinction without a difference at this point. If anything, I would grant Silvergate is making a better move on a percentage basis, and that's probably because it's 70% short. And the second I remembered that, it's like, yeah, if you have to choose between the two in an uptrend, you should maybe sometimes when it's strong you choose Silvergate. I just feel like it's been 2 weeks, so I didn't do it. But that looks like it has some carry into 18. I just thought Coin maybe had some carry on its own. I just tried to grab the dip buy, didn't get it. If I get another chance, maybe I will try to join the trend somewhere here, a little higher than 63.20. Right now I'm in right now at 40, so I wanted to get a better price. I thought that was possible in front of that 63 level, but it might not happen. And if it gets to VWAP, I think it could go ham off of VWAP. Bob was starting to press. Tesla, I got to start thinking about target zone for Tesla and where I can add to it. What happened to my 15? Okay, that's how you want to be. Let me go black chart here. Now you got the black chart and just deal with it. So we're at that 107 or 207 mark, 207. In the afternoon yesterday, we hung up here on the first dip that got to 05. It hung up at 7. So if there's going to be an out to this scalp trade because I'm long 5s, it's around here at that 7 mark and then look to rejoin. If you saw how I was trading this in the afternoon, think of it the same way reversed. Like I was shorting 10s, down to the next level, get some out, re-enter, get out, re-enter, get out, re-enter. That's the way I prefer to play the trend, especially when I don't think the market is going to do anything insane. I think we're going to have a bit of an inside day, so that's what I'll do over there on Tesla. And it could be right here curling off that 07 level right now. So I'm looking to be able to get out of this one, scalp a couple of dollars on the second half, and then work my way back into the trend. Maybe that's higher, maybe that's on a pullback. The market's going to tell me which one of those two it's going to be. But it is BABA, which is pressing higher, that I should be concerned about, as maybe it does break 100. I don't know. Brendan.
All right, guys, as we were discussing in the morning show, if you were with us, it seems like hours and hours and hours ago, Michael Noss from Trade Ideas is still with us this afternoon and will be for the remainder of the day. So anyone who has any questions, anyone has any ideas or needs some ideas as to how Trade Ideas operates, we're going to answer those, and we're going to get into a few ideas from the idea generator. I'm saying ideas a lot. This as well is coming to you this weekend from Trade Ideas, from us to you. Trader TV 30 for the President's Day long weekend. And that goes till Tuesday?
Goes till Tuesday, yep.
Tuesday morning. Until Tuesday morning, get 30% off at Trade Ideas using that code. So Trader TV 30 all weekend long. You had a couple things you wanted to touch on?
Yes, and we'll go over, we have a swing trading algorithm that actually does a lot of math and shows us some stuff on Friday. That'll be super interesting. And also, we have a preview for you iPad, iPhone users of something that we're working on that hasn't been shown anywhere, but will be shown here pretty soon.
First time exclusive. A mobile app coming to Trade Ideas. We're going to show it to you coming up here this afternoon. Very first time it's ever been seen in the public, guys. So we'll talk about those two things and more coming up. Again, any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll get them to Mr. Noss.
There was a question just now. I'm going to read it just because I thought it was funny. And this is from Short Smeller. What does your beard kit look like? And that's obviously not to me, Michael. It's not to, I mean, it could be to Arun. It's obviously not to Brendan. It could be to Sharif or Arun, but I'm pretty sure that one is squarely directed at you.
I would like to say a lot, but really next to nothing. As a Canadian, I just rub some maple syrup in it and
try something
roll around the
fancy at
snow.
the end.
That's about it.
Yeah, we could.
You know what? I have zero beard game, and I have no issue saying it. I'm not. If I grew a beard, you guys would just constantly be like, "What? It doesn't fill in." So you do what you do. Now Tesla's through 07 now. So, two things. One, I'm moving my trail up because I still think this is a fail area. If it's going to pull back and give a reentry around 05s or off the 05, I think it's going to be around this 7, but it is screaming. So, I do want to give it some room to run. I just feel like it scalps the rest of the afternoon, scalp trades the rest of the afternoon. And this one is starting to press up into like a parabolic move that I just want to trail the next out and look for a reentry out. But like, is it? Wow, this stock is going crazy. BABA. If the market's going up, well, if you're in a short, it's not very good right now. However, it hasn't broken 100 yet, but it's about to break 100. I'll give it a few shekels above, a few pennies above 100. I like saying shekels sometimes, sorry. And when it breaks that 100 level, if it gets like 10s, I got to get out of this one. I'm not really looking to add to it. I've already been greedy enough with this, and I've been not taking this out when it goes 50 cents in the money because I think it can really flush from here. But at this point, I might have to give it up. And you know what? Meta doesn't want to go. Meta is once again resisting 172. So while I seem to think 173 is the big level on Meta, Meta's telling me that 172 is the real resistance all day long. So the question becomes, do I listen? And the second I see any weakness in the market, short it here at 72? The answer should be yes. That's the reality. It should be yes. The second I see weakness off this double top in the ES and the NASDAQ in about 10 points, if it starts to slow down, Meta's just a short, and it doesn't have to be at 173, because also 172.40 was the close price. So you get a nice, decent retracement off that level. However, I just keep moving my stop in Tesla. Like, this is ridiculous. Trail goes from 06.75 to 07.25 to 07.5. At this point, it's just a matter of how far it goes. And someone said in the chat, Tesla's going to 209. That's actually not that unreasonable. It's not crazy because now that you're through here, I know why I scalped out here because of the way I got to fill. But like once you're through here, like I can see us back at that 09. Like that's where things really jumped off. Like it was a 10 short, but it was an 09 breakdown. So 09 makes sense, but I'm trailing out here just beneath 07.50. Like I'll take $2 and change and run, and then look for the next re-entry into this trend backside. And maybe, do I want to add to BABA? I'm asking myself, do I want to add to BABA? Oh, the problem with Coinbase, by the way. So Coinbase is trying to get through VWAP, so I have that long as well. I don't know what's going on over in Silvergate, but Coinbase is kind of failing VWAP here, which to me, why am I forgetting to talk about it? That's an exit. I'm getting out of Coinbase here. I'll still try to go for the long, but maybe play it by ear if it pulls back. Like sometimes you ring the register because it got you where you wanted to go and you never got the chance to add to it. So I never got the chance to add off 63. And if I think the longs are off 63, well, I don't want to chase it. I'm never going long here in front of VWAP. Not a stock that's doing a trend like this. I'm never taking that trade. You can convince me to go long in here into VWAP, but it needs to hold above VWAP, start breaking out above 65 to join that up there. Otherwise, I'm waiting for it to get back down to that support, that kind of false bottom at 63, long in front of 63. That's the trade I'm making on Coinbase, and the only one I want if we can even get it again.
While you're on Coinbase, there's a question regarding BTC and coin. It's like, how can we measure? I don't trade this, so I don't know. How can we measure how quick they move when BTC has volatility? Do any move congruent to Bitcoin?
So the answer is there congruence with Bitcoin? The answer is yes. However, what I've found with coin is it tends to be a little bit more extreme, especially to the downside. But it works in both ways because it's a highly shorted name. There's a lot of specific equity risk, and then on top of that, like you have the exchange risk that goes with Coinbase with all the nonsense, whereas Bitcoin is a little bit safer in terms of an asset. So there's more extremes to Coinbase. I just observe the general trends. So like a lot of times I'd be like, oh, I like shorting Coinbase. Well, if you look at the 15-minute, all you see is an upward trend in Bitcoin. So once you see a level of support established in something like a coin, I'm going to like the longs. Now, if you were failing the 2,500, like when this stuff was happening on coin, and you were going, on Bitcoin, when you're failing 2,500 and heading back down, then I'm thinking about, okay, where can I be shorting Coinbase and where are my ins and outs? But never really just one-to-one going back and forth with the two. Like, I don't trade that way. I think I did one day on Mara and had some success with it. That was like 2 years ago, I want to say. Like I was literally watching a 3 or 5, at a 3 and a 15 and a daily of Bitcoin, and I was trading Mara, and it really worked well for like one morning, and then after that it sucked, so I stopped doing it. So I try not to do that. Work with the levels and the general trend. Suffice to say.
Yeah, I mean, we got to keep an eye on obviously the futures market. And someone was asking, am I short on the futures? I am, but it's not like a serious position. It's again, it was just me. This was a serious position. This, not so much. This is just me thinking, oh, what happens if we do exactly what we're doing here, which is get close or even take out the high and then fail a little bit. We got close enough. I'm like, you know, I'll put some money in there. But not a serious position. This is a position I can continue to definitely build on if I get the right set of circumstances. If I don't and this accelerates, then I take a small hit, and that's perfectly fine. This is just one of those trades where I take it now, or I miss out if it ends up going much lower. So it's a matter of just being a participant, but not in a big way. So we are short. We are still short. Let's see how it kind of trades through here. Tesla.
Oh wow, Tesla.
Great. Yeah, it's at 208. Even with, I mean, the higher it goes, the better it is for the next set of trades that I want to do with this. And even with the recall, it's you know, when I said that, it kind of got a lot of people going for whatever reason. You guys are defending Tesla hardcore, but. You know, when I say something, I'm going to pull up the facts on that. Let's go to my screen here. This comes directly from the NHTSA. It is a recall. I don't care what you guys say.
Oh.
It is a recall. It is an official notice.
Here we go.
And however you want to defend it, defend it. But NHTSA says it's a recall, so I'm going to go with the recall. That's the word I'm going to use.
But it's what practically matters.
I mean, if to prevent accidents, sure, I think that makes a difference, right?
Yeah, but if it doesn't cost the company much and it's not a gigantic inconvenience, then suddenly it doesn't have the same significance. So like everything in the world is degrees. Like everything's a matter of scale and degree. Oh, there goes Alibaba. So, well, there it is. If you come to my chart for a second, there's Alibaba. So probably not bad. This could have been a much better short if I didn't think it was going to free fall every single time off 100, which it never did. Like there were shorts here and there were shorts here, but I was doing the pure I want this breakdown and just die kind of trade. So that obviously didn't have to, it's a gentle trend that I could have done much better on with Alibaba. Didn't. Now we got to move on to the next. I feel like after getting out of Tesla, it should just be Tesla again. Like in the afternoon, like late afternoon, I basically was, like I had some Microsoft, but it was pretty much all Tesla because it was trending so nicely. And I feel like this is going to be the opportunity. But on that move, even when I was trailing out, sometimes the next entry was just right in the same place that you got out before. As we go to Brendan for Happening Now.
Hey guys, yeah, into the final hour we go on a Friday afternoon, still looking at a bit of a mixed board, an improving situation. We'll put a positive spin on it. The Dow has gone green, 0.36, the only one of the big ones anyways, 0.25% still. For the S&P, downside, the Russell 2000 trying to go green right now. In fact, still 0.5% for the 1,000 and the 3,000. NASDAQ composite, both still pretty red here, 0.5%, we'll call it, for both the composite and the 100. So as we said this morning, it's been tech all day, showing some relative weakness. If you're with us pre-market, we talked about Dash, DraftKings, Roku, among others. Still, these three among the top performers from the watch list today, including this one. Roku trying to get back above 71.5 through that 72 area on decent volume back to the upside as well. Guys.
Maybe Tesla is just long everywhere, more everywhere, more. I'm not taking the 08 break. What I'm kind of looking for here is like the over-under and then just get back in on that consolidation. Because sometimes you get that. Like in here, like it makes the break, takes out 06, and you didn't actually need to go long at 06 on the break. You were able to kind of catch it on the way back into 05. So I'm looking for somewhat of the same thing here on Tesla to not have to fight it. Well, while I'm waiting for that, because maybe I get it, maybe I don't, Microsoft is clawing above VWAP.
That rundown.
If the market doesn't make the next leg up, Microsoft still feels like if it gets back beneath VWAP, that's going to be a short.
Looking at the
However,
500 weights.
Meta's here now.
7%.
Right, like this has just gone on a hand on Meta.
2.5%.
So we're at
of the S&P
173.
500.
It's like, why was I
And
not
then
long
Berkshire,
171?
which has a
Because
whole
A, I
bunch
like
of
Tesla
Apple
better.
in it,
Maybe
is
that was the
another
wrong
2%
call.
of the index.
I'm looking over at
So it's like
Coinbase.
that's
I'm
why
not
you
getting
have
back
these
into
just
Coinbase
weird-
at this
it just
price. I'm still
doesn't-
looking for the dip.
almost
That's at
doesn't make sense,
65.
right, where-
But Meta's at 173.
Yeah.
All right, wait literally all day for this price. And now it's here. I don't even like it that much. Don't even like it that much. Oh, Mike, you guys can't hear me?
No, I think
going
Brendan's
on?
mic is maybe on.
So yeah, okay. So I am trying to get that Meta short, but this could be the shortest offensive of all time. So the second I started offering, it starts going down. Okay. I'm trying to get Meta in front of 173, but I'm not chasing it to 172.50. That's stupid. I'm going to sit in here, let it pick me up. There you go. I just got some. See if I can't get more. Actually, that's simultaneously got the dip in Tesla and the short in Meta, which is a little weird. Although it's oddly enough, it's the short in Meta that concerns me more. Even though I waited all day for this and I'm going long Tesla off the highs, it's the short in Meta that concerns me. Because you grab that dip in Tesla, like instead of buying that breakout, save yourself like 50 cents and buy it at like 207.50, like just so they can hear too, like buy it in the dip. Because oftentimes when everybody likes a breakout like that, then it just kind of runs the stops, goes back beneath, floats above. And if you like the long, you're trying to get out above 8 anyway, so you might as well get a better price. And then if it pops 8 again, I can get out like some at the quarter mark or something like that, and then ride the train a little bit higher. And then if it breaks 7, instead of risking $1, I'm only risking like 50 to 60 cents. I just like that trade a bit better. Sometimes you miss the trade. That's the other side of the equation. So oddly enough, I'm long Tesla, short Meta. But I did wait forever for this Meta trade, so I kind of feel like I had to do it.
All right.
I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. All fun and games aside, now it's a decision point in the market. This is exactly what I was looking forward to seeing here. What happens when we take out the high from this morning? We took it out. We got above 90 also, a couple ticks above 90, and we're starting to hesitate. Now, if this accelerates to the downside, I'm going to start adding it to the position that I have on the short side. If we end up catching a bid, I walk away. If this is a clean move, I don't need to be part of this. This is exactly where the decision needs to be made here with about 55 minutes left, 45 minutes before the imbalances come out and the options kick in, or the options influence kick in as they go to expire. Are we going to actually find some selling near the top end, or are we going to accelerate? And I think at that point, you have an idea of how this market wants to close on the day. I know Sharif over there wanted a 4,100 close. He's like, that'll be nice. Me, on the other hand, the easier trade in any market, the markets will always go faster to the downside than they will go to the upside.
True.
Do I love to see stuff burn? Sure. I mean, I poke the bear a lot. I mean, that's what I did with the whole Tesla thing. But I mean, I get it. We'll move on. They'll just let that be. But right now, with the market coming back down, that's what I care about right now is the money. Are we going to make some money on the short side? Or are we going to have to take the hit and maybe flip into a long? I'm out of the equity positions. Remember, Snow is done. We walked away from Snow as it came back up towards that 154. We still made some money on it. We made like 20 cents on it or so. That's fine. But now I think this is where the real money is going to be made, especially given the time. You're into the final little bit. You're going to start to see you should start to see some volatility, options, holiday, highs getting taken out. You were saying that Meta is failing, or were you short Meta?
So here's what I just did.
That's
So
short.
I shorted Meta off that 73, but once I got stopped out of Tesla. Come to my chart for a second. I got stopped out of Tesla and added to Meta, which I'm going to take some out right now. So there we go. Just got 172.20. So we stopped to fail on the Tesla trade, that sucked. It's not this one, but I'm on Meta right now. And then added to Meta, because whichever one works, you just want to have more of. And if it gets to VWAP, then we can claim like $1.50 worth of range. But I did wait all day for this price. So once it got there, it's like, okay, well, I said all morning I like shorts in front of 173 on Meta. We finally made the trade. But while that happened, obviously Tesla, I said, if you take the 208 break, I find you just lose $1 instead of 50 to 60 cents. And I don't want to give back that much of the first move when I'm chasing it higher. So I always try to get a better entry the higher you go, the more stingy you are with the price that you get in, because there's more room that it can pull back in. And I don't want to be risking that much. When the breakout was at 05, so long at 08 isn't a great breakout price. On the way back up here, I'm picking up some Microsoft as well. And I don't think Tesla's necessarily done, by the way. Like Tesla could still go. I want to get at a better price. So Microsoft, when the market turned around here, I was like, okay, well, now I can work off the 258 level. So I'm going to short off at 258 on Microsoft because it's relatively weak. It's maybe a bit of a tight stop, and I like Meta a bit better, so I didn't quite take as much. But I like that one to the south side. If the market does pull back here, Microsoft has room to the low of the day to be short. Yeah,
this market picking up some secondary strength here. We might be going towards that 4,100 that Sharif wants. So if that happens, then we're going to have to walk away from this small short there. But for now, this market's still working those highs, trying to figure out what it wants to do. I do think that Meta, given how Meta's kind of reacted throughout the day, I think that Meta position might be the better one to have, given the market's undecided at this point, to be short within the sell zone and then see if we can't work it back down towards that 170, because 170 coming in would probably move fairly quickly given the trend that it's had for the last few days. So at this point, is the futures market going back to 90? Okay, I see you. Might have to walk away from that one fairly quickly. But what do we got? 10 minutes left. We got imbalances in about 40 minutes. Not a whole lot. Meta and McDonald's. McDonald's is still going. Okay, those are the two alerts that I had out. And Boeing. Yeah. Boeing was a trade this morning I had, but I mean, it was great short, but then we caught a bid. Futures market caught a bid. We got out, and then it just kind of drifted up, and it really hasn't set up the other side. I was looking for that 212 back on the other side to go for the long, but we're sitting at 211 and change. Too late for any new equity positions. Not going to start that. But, I mean, at this point, I mean, it's going to have to be about these futures. All we can really do is figure out what this market wants to do at these highs, and that's all I can do. There's not a whole lot left. Everybody wants a trade
Bobby's
to be made.
Bobby's yelling at me in the chat right now.
What's that?
Bobby in the chat was like, Man United received a bid, and then in capital letters, get on Man U, Neil. So you know what? Mea culpa here, because both Arun and I were setting up a long idea on Man U that neither one of us bothered to take. That's a fail, because we were talking about this pretty much exactly in the pocket that it fell down to. Like, okay, let it break 27. Look for bottoms off the 26, and once it catches a bid, you're in the zone up here at like 50s, and you set your stop at the low or just beneath the low, and then hold on. That didn't really give you much, but if it breaks out here, it might give you something. So I like, if you're long at 26.50, good. But I don't like the long here. It either breaks out 27.15, or you're long in the 50s off 26 even. Like, that's the way I would look at the trade. We missed one on this one, because I think you could have had like 26.25 easy. Easy.
Nah, I'm not saying that. I can't.
You don't think so?
No, because you're trying to catch a falling knife as it's coming through 27. You need it to stabilize a little bit before going for the long. That's why I'm thinking back above 27 and change would make sense. But the fact that we couldn't even get back above 27 all day, that makes me think, you know what, Man U, although Man U, we had the right read on it and we have the right set of levels and everything, there's a third thing that needs to happen on top of all of that. You have your levels, you have your setups, but you need to confirm it, right? I know a lot of people like to be in the trade and hope it goes, but you can also confirm what you're looking for, and then be confident and be comfortable with the idea of actually holding on to it and not freaking out over every single tick that it goes against you.
Can't you just let me criticize myself for a second?
No.
I'm literally sitting here like, look at me missing a trade that we both liked for a specific setup. So I go to the prices, but you're actually probably right.
No, but there's nothing wrong.
You are right, because you do want to miss some of those trades.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being critical about certain things, but like, it's got to be about the right things.
Yeah.
Like, seeing trades that went because you didn't take it for whatever reason. If those reasons are correct, it doesn't matter if you missed the trade. You missed the trade, move on, right? I think in this situation, it was a matter of everything didn't line up. We were looking for a certain thing, not everything lined up. Just because we missed the trade in that situation does not mean that we made a wrong decision. It was the right decision, and we could have made some money on it, but that's okay. Move on, right, Brendan?
Yeah, you're right.
So, just reading a note, guys. Spruce Point Capital Management out with an investment opinion, quote unquote, report on C3AI and a strong sell research opinion. So, move down here right now for AI. Again, that's Spruce Point Capital with a strong sell opinion on AI.
Okay, so you know what's hilarious when you look at the chart? The first thing that comes into my mind is, where did they get short? And why was it like 27, 28? So when all that mayhem, right? So when all that mayhem and the AI move, they wait for the top. So there's your top at 30. There's your lower peak. So they're getting shorts, 27s, 28s, maybe some at 26. You've built that. It's working in the money, bounces off support level at 21, kind of making another lower high, getting back into this level here. Boom, there's our short sell report. Now it's failing the 24 level, and you're going all the way to 20 bucks. That's what probably just happened. I have no idea whether that's what happened, but it smells like that's what happened. I tend to say this, when you have a short sell report coming in, just give it a day or two, and then the first kind of consolidation level that it makes, so like the first real support, like look for the day trade long off that level. Like I don't know if it's 23, like maybe it's like 21. I mean, get somewhere, holds a bid for like 1 day or 2 days, and then it's like get that long, and then the first move up where there's short covering from the shorts that are up here, that's kind of your trade. Chasing it just because someone put out a short sell report is not the way I like to go. And if someone just said BABA dumping, oh, if Alibaba's dumping, I'm not going to be happy. No, it's not. BABA's not doing anything. BABA's doing nothing. However, Meta is pumping. Well, maybe it's not pumping. It's bouncing. That's a better term to use. It's bouncing back up to 73. So I'll probably take one more short up here if it does. But I want it to fail first. Like I want it to get up here, not break 73, obviously, and then start coming back down, then short on the way back in. Microsoft, I probably should have taken something out, but it's still in the pocket for me. And I thought Tesla was just going to drop more than this. Like Tesla's going nowhere, man, nowhere to the downside. Like that was a tight stop because I felt I was chasing it, but Tesla doesn't seem to want to fall. And by the way, I mean, I look over at Coinbase, I got out at VWAP here. This stock is still going. So if that's going to be the case, I will buy the next dip in coin and try not to be taking this breakout. But that trend is strong. This is a really strong trend in Coinbase. I dumped this way too early. Should have taken more than $1 on that one, Brendo.
All right, as promised, we're going to discuss some ideas because Michael Noss is here from Trade Ideas. I rhymed. It's the time of day where a lot of people might be wrapping things up, getting ready for the weekend. It's a long weekend. A lot of people also maybe opening that swing account, even though it might hurt a little bit at this point for all of us, not just individuals, trust me. You're going to talk a little bit about how we can use Trade Ideas to come up with maybe week-long ideas, maybe a couple days, swing ideas across the board.
Swing trading, which for me is my favorite time frame. It's what I do better at, and it's something that we're focusing more and more on as the market gets more 24/7. We all know it's going to happen at some point. And yeah, this is a system that I kind of built myself when I was taking my CMT, and we've tested it for about 5 years now versus in back test, and we've been running it for about 2 years. So I have up here actually the year-to-date performance versus the S&P 500, and actually last year where we all know the market had a really bad time, but this long-only system was actually able to eke out a 5% gain. So, these aren't going to be the high-fly double or triple overnight, but nice kind of consistent gains. So what this system does is it basically ranks a whole bunch of indicators and chart patterns and candlestick patterns and gives us a finite number of what is the strongest stocks in the market. And we're able to, on Friday night, I go through this list, I look at what I'm going to buy or set my orders going into next week, and rinse and repeat. So at the end of every week, when everything, as you mentioned, everything's wrapping down, and things are getting kind of a little bit boring or choppy in the market, I'm able to go in and say, okay, this is the stuff I want to look at for next week. So, for example, LAMR was actually, one of the strongest on the list, and a nice looking chart pattern. We have earnings in 5 days, so if I'm looking to buy this today, my hope is to be out by earnings. It runs off this algorithm, so I know there's some statistical advantage for trading this. And the beauty of it is the fact that we link to Interactive Brokers in E-Trade is to take the trade, I can just click the buy button on the chart and put where I would like to purchase it at, and then it's done. So that's set up for next week and ready to go.
Simple as that. So again, this list comes out Friday afternoons.
Yep.
And is available to anyone with a Trade Ideas account.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that. Trader TV 30, guys, get you 30% off this weekend. Happy President's Day.
Yes, that's actually one thing I feel like we should have been saying a little bit more often. Monday is a holiday. It's actually a holiday in Canada too, but happy President's Day, of course. And here it's actually Family Day in Canada. So if you try to tune in for the show on Monday morning, we will not be here because when the U.S. markets are closed, that's the only time you will not find us here live trading the markets because that's what we're all about. So probably haven't been saying that enough here. And look, just a couple of things that are going on. Oh, I saw a couple of questions in there. People are asking about Robinhood integration. Can you link to other brokers, TD Ameritrade? But realistically, like, we don't really have an affiliation with any specific brokers, so we're not going to sit there recommending like certain brokers. But to my knowledge, there is the ability to link some things with trade ideas on other platforms. I'll let Michael speak to that the next time he wants to talk there. Tesla is kind of rolling over. So I haven't added to Meta because quite frankly, it hasn't come back to my re-entry. So I'm looking for it to get at least $1 down before I get the next leg out, or give me a re-entry point up here. That's where I want to make a decision, is up here or down there. Same thing with Microsoft. I took some Microsoft out, but Tesla's starting to roll over. So now you're getting a little bit of a dip here, where I think you can find like the next area of support. It might be 05, it might be 03. As long as it's above VWAP, I think I'll go ahead and play that. I got the shorts on that I like, so I'm not really thinking about Tesla for the reversal trade, because I think I've got the right two there, to be sure. Oh, Mr. Blue in the chat. By the way, if you're not a subscriber, you actually can't participate in the chat. But Mr. Blue says, I strongly recommend FTX. The CEO seems legit.
I agree.
That's a good one right there. I'm going to read those every single time when I see it. No, that's a really good one. The timing's pretty good on that one as well. So, yeah, obviously not, but we all get what you're saying there. But like, endorsed by Brady. Hey, Brady's the GOAT. I hate him, but he's the GOAT. So it is. That kind of is what it is. I do want to go back over to Coinbase here because if we're getting a bit of a pullback, like it's dipped, didn't quite get into VWAP. I wasn't fast enough. I had it up, but I wasn't fast enough to try and grab it beneath 65 where the muddy fills were because it was snapping right back to the upside. Now it's just running again. So playing the break here, I'm just doing it. Like I'm just gonna try and grab it above this. Like when this is going, sometimes you just want to be in the party. And the second I even bid here in the 60s, it's like it's already going higher. So I'm just going to cancel that because if it falls back down, I'll try to get back in some other way. Coinbase just feels stronger. Maybe SI is doing it too. But anything related to crypto, there we go. There's the dip. And then instead, now put the bid in when it comes to the downside. Maybe it doesn't run away from me. See? That's literally the same price I was bidding before. But it wasn't giving you fill. Then it comes down a bit, then you get the fill. So I just grabbed like 68s here. I'll probably give it at least 40 to 50 pennies and look to add if it gets anywhere down here. But this feels like it's just running. Bitcoin's running. I'm assuming Silvergate's running. I'm making the assumption I can literally just call it up myself to see that it's bouncing off VWAP here. So I'm back in a coin. Unfortunately for me, it's nowhere near the price that I had before. So I should be rejoining the trend here, probably somewhere in here. Instead, I'm taking the breakout because it's just that strong. But the higher it is, the more aggressive I want to take those first outs if it can go there. And someone's saying, Tisha's asking if I can go over OKYO. So I didn't trade this one. I know the one you're talking about, but I didn't really trade it today. I wasn't really that interested in it. I always say when it's those crazy halt up, low float type names. Let me show you the 15-minute. No, this will be fine here going to the daily chart. When it's one of these types of names, if you don't have the move in here early to the long between 4 and 5, I just feel like you're a bit out of luck. Because the only time you can get back in is like, here's the halt price at 4 or 390. It dips in here, and then if you grab this long 450 with your stop at 390, you're risking 10 to 15%. You get the move into 6, and then the rest is just chop city, which I want no part of that. Because if it breaks down now, you're losing 10, 15% easy. And I would never swing this over a long weekend because that's just crazy. So I don't see much of a trade there. Like that was your dip buy when it starts breaking out here and the volume picks back up because you know where you could have stopped out. Otherwise, if you're holding over the weekend thinking you want to just have a trailing stop beneath 4 even, Well, what happens when it just gaps on Tuesday down to 350 or $3? Like you're kind of SOL at that point, which is not really my style. Market's going down, which means two things. Coin sucks, and where's my next fill on Meta out? So we'll do this on Meta. We'll ring the register on Meta because I wanted to make sure I'm catching something. When you get a parabolic candle like this, just give me something out. If I was planning on getting it 10 cents better, no, I want it on that move just in case it snaps back to the upside. But it also means coin go up, coin come down. That's kind of the problem with buying the breakout, why I don't generally like doing it. But if it cannot hold 65, I'm out. I did leave some room to be able to add here in front of 65, but I would rather not give everything back that we had on the first long on Coinbase. I'll try not to do that. Microsoft, oddly enough, did not do much there. Like it's okay. Like I'm sitting in Microsoft not talking about it because, quite frankly, up and down at VWAP, one leg down, now gently gliding lower. I mean gently because it's not really accelerating. It's not testing higher. It's not threatening to trade. It's not falling apart when the market goes down. So it's kind of boring, which is why I'm not really going over it. So it's in the money, but it's not great. Meta's definitely more exciting here. You even said it, Arun, that Meta was going to be better as a short. And I took Microsoft anyways.
Yeah, Meta was in the right spot. It was just for me. It was just a matter of time, right? Do I really want to start a new position this late in the day? Yeah. As you know, as traders here on a prop firm, we do have to be flat by the end of the day. 4 p.m., 4:15 on the futures, 4 p.m. on the equity side. We do have to be flat. So, especially it depends on how you trade, I guess. If you trade if you scalp, then it makes perfect sense to still work positions this late in the day. For me, I like to build up positions. If I can't. Do I really want to build up a position knowing that 350 is going to be imbalances and end of day stuff for the final 10 minutes? Not necessarily. So I kind of stay away from it. And this goes into what I've been doing here, which is the future side of things, right? I trade the ES contract, and we had a couple trades today. I ran a small position short. I'm still kind of working it a little bit. I don't know what I want to do with this just yet. Do I want to add up here? We are kind of failing near the highs, but the closer and closer we get to 350, the more and more I'm inclined to just, if we get above 40.90, I'll just walk away. If we come back in, I'll just kind of take it into the imbalance kind of thing. I'm not really fully committed to either side on this. I mean, I am on the short side. I guess I'm committed to the short side, but I'm not like, heavily committed to the short side. It's just, I just want to see what would happen here. I thought I saw something. If that's not the case, then I'll walk away from it. That's perfectly fine. But this goes back into a question where somebody in the chat was asking about whether we trade, why don't we trade the spiders? That's a very good question. Neil got up to go get water or something. When he comes back, I'm going to ask that because I trade the futures, and I get why no one here wants to trade the futures. That's fine. It's a different risk system and all that stuff. But the spiders is it's a proxy, obviously, for the futures. But at the same time, the spiders, you can treat it like it is a stock. It's an ETF, but it still sets up the same way, same kind of levels, the same kind of areas and whatnot. So I'm going to ask Neil why they don't take a look at the spiders. Because I know on certain situations, or in certain situations, these guys do take it. Neil, I believe, Sean takes the Qs or TQQs or something. He takes one of the leveraged ETFs. Related to the index. But in terms of overall trading, apart from Sharif, I know you take spiders?
No.
You don't? No. Does anyone on the midday show take the spiders? Is there a reason for that? No? No. Yeah, I'm very curious as to why these guys don't trade the spiders, because, I mean, you could treat it like a stock. It doesn't necessarily have to be the index. So I will ask them when they get back. But for now, futures market, not a whole lot. No updates. We've been here. We tried. We got nowhere. We tried it to 40.90, couldn't do it. We tried at 40.80, couldn't do it. Here we are at 40.85 now, 5 points up and down. We just need to commit. Are we going to go up 5 points, or are we going to go 5 points to the downside? If we can go either way, if we go to the downside through 40.80, we can probably accelerate with the imbalances going down. If we go through 40.90, we can probably accelerate towards 4100 going up. Remains to be seen. Oh, Neil. So there was a question in the chat regarding trading spiders. Is there a reason you guys don't trade the spiders? Like when you look at a spider's chart, isn't it just like a stock though? You could treat it like a stock.
So yes, you can treat it like a stock. What I found, it just comes down to what you're better at. I don't know. It does come down to what you're better at. And I find like you usually have like a bit of a like there'll be a narrative to a stock, like it'll have its own specific catalyst, or the sector will have a specific catalyst, and then I can establish like I like a direction or a level, and I also have something to base it off of. So I know that if I'm looking at meta, like maybe I'm looking at the Qs a little bit, or if I'm trading, especially when I'm trading. Like if you're trading like Intel, I can have like stocks up or like that. I can have something that gives me a leading indicator that I can jump back on. Whereas if I'm trading just the futures, Coinbase is going to stop me out. These other shorts are going to be good. But yeah, I always feel like I want that secondary indicator. The futures gives me that to then trade the equity. Like here's like my thing is like when you look at a level like this, it's like, okay, well, maybe you put a short on into 4,100. The way I see it testing the double top is, what's the stock that's going to be carrying, it's going to move with the futures that is at the best short level?
Yeah.
And then I want to do that. And to me, I was like, oh, well, then Meta's at 173 when the futures is testing the highs. Well, I just feel way more confident shorting Meta at 173 than shorting the futures at that level. Because I don't
same
like
thing though. Like if the futures accelerates, Meta's going to blow through that level
yeah,
too.
but you've said this before. Like I have a feel of how to short off of 173 on Meta. I have no feel on how to short the futures at 4,100.
Okay.
Because I've seen like 4,100 is a great short, and sometimes it's 7 handles above, and sometimes it's 2 handles above. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just getting wicked out. But I have an idea how I want to trade 173 on Meta, and I have no bloody clue how I want to trade 4,100 on the futures.
Got it.
And it's not that simple. And the risk, it's weird. Like, you just get comfortable with the sizing and all of that. Like, and I'm not saying you can't do it. Like, don't get me wrong, but both of them work. So like, it doesn't matter, not really. Just do the one that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
That's it. If you like trading penny stocks, I don't give a rat's ass. Like, I started out trading penny stocks. In 2003, when I started trading, I got my first paycheck on penny stocks. And like when I finally moved out because I was cheap and decided that I wanted to make a little bit of bank before I moved out, I was still making money trading low cap stocks, and that's what I was the best at when I started out. And it doesn't matter. When I came in, I wanted to trade momentum on all the big cap like everybody else, but that's not what I was immediately good at. And so I just made the money first and worried about the rest later. Don't do what you love. Do what makes sense to you at the end of the day. Doesn't have to make sense. Actually, it has to make dollars. That's the actual line. But I don't know. I've never actually had any success trading the futures.
No, I get it. I mean, that's, everyone falls into their thing where they're comfortable, right? And for me, I mean, I trade the futures. I trade the ES contract. So if I were to take a look at the micros, the level 2 looks weird to me, right? And then if I were to, then for whatever reason, let's just say that CME, we had an issue on our side where we couldn't trade CME for a day, and I had to, go over to the spiders. It feels weird to trade the spiders, although I could be looking at a futures chart, following the futures levels, just executing on spiders, but yet it feels weird, right? You have to do the math as well. How much is one contract on the spiders? It's about 500 shares. What's 1 point on the spiders? It's about 9 point. It's like 10 cents minus a tiny, tiny bit. It's like 9.8 or something like that. Anyways, it's that kind of stuff that you have to factor in as well. I've just already done I've already figured out how I can risk, what I can risk, and all that stuff in the futures, specifically the ES futures. So that's where you go with it, right? So regardless of what you guys trade, like Neil said, as long as you feel comfortable or you feel good about doing that, that's what you should do. Not necessarily just because everyone else is doing it as well. Brennan.
All right, we teased it a little bit when we came on at 2 o'clock here, but we'll show you for the first time ever I guess it's in the works?
In the works.
The mobile product that is in the work, or multi-platform product that is in the works from Trade Ideas. Never seen by the public yet, to date, going to happen right now. If you are out and about, you want to pull out your phone, check how things are doing in the market for the day, this is a great opportunity to not only see what is moving, but be able to do it on a phone, on a tablet, across. I mean, you can talk better about it than I can.
Yeah, so currently Trade Ideas, we have a web version and we have a downloaded version that's basically meant to be viewed on a desktop and played with on a desktop and really expansive, and there's a lot of customization. We showed that off this week already. But one thing that we're kind of striving towards is, iPad version, iPhone version, the ability just to be able to check what's going on with your individual stock or just find ideas, giving trade ideas on the fly. So if you just go to my screen here, Brad, I have this is an early alpha version, so you're gonna have to bear with me, and I need a little bit of imagination as well. But what's showing up here right now is this ray scan that we've talked about that's basically showing what's moving the most right now. So this AM right now is something that's pushing up. And just by clicking or tapping on that, I have this data window over here that's kind of populating with the short float, the price right now. It will have news. It will have access to all of the data that you need. Now, under this, and this is the work in progress, we're going to have fully fledged charts that you'll be able to customize on and take a look at and see what's going on in your individual name, as well as just search up a symbol if you want to take a look at what Apple's doing at the time or any of these type of things. So the beauty of this and the beauty of doing it very simply like this and on the web is that, yeah, we can translate it to Chromebooks users and Linux users and Mac OS users and iPad users. And then we're really simplifying the interface where you just bring up a menu. And if you want the biggest gainers today, if you're someone who trades gaps, if you want to see what's going on in the meme stock world, with just 2 clicks or 2 taps, you're able to just load up a new scan, check out what's going on, if you have a little break at work and you want to see what's going on your phone or something like that. So this is our new light version that will be, included for everybody who has current trade ideas as well. Again, when you are on the boat and you just maybe want to take a trade or two.
That's, I mean, a huge bonus, even in the fact that, I don't know anyone that doesn't have an iPad lying around on the couch somewhere that they're probably not using outside of maybe an ebook or something along those lines. You can free up a screen as well, even at your workstation.
Yep.
There's tons of those little stands you can get for iPads now, so you can, put all of your trade ideas stuff onto an iPad screen and save a monitor if you're tight for space even, or something along those lines.
Well, yeah, and we all know as traders that screen real estate is probably the most expensive resource we have,
exactly.
Right? We have so much going on. So this is a very simplified look that's exactly how I'm using it. I have it on an iPad next, and I can just look down when I'm doing something else, and I go, oh, this is something that's moving. Have a tap, see if it's something that I'm interested in, take a trade.
Is there a timeline on that?
I will probably get in trouble if I say it.
That's okay, don't worry, no one's listening.
I've been playing with it. It works well. The last step is to get the charts on it.
Right.
So we need to get the charts on it so that people can, do their technical analysis on it as well. I'm hoping that we're talking weeks to maybe a month or 2. I might get slapped for that, but I have faith in our dev team.
Put pressure on them. Long weekend, guys. Trader TV 30 will get you 30% off.
Yeah, I'll tell you when it's gonna. So you guys are gonna. All of you are gonna know when it's out because I have my iPad in front, where I put all my notes in the morning. But I know what I'm gonna change that to. I like screen space, and you can see I only have 4 screens up here, and I wouldn't mind a little bit of extra. So when Michael gets that to us, I am going to have it literally that morning, hopefully, and then we'll work with that. So Tesla. Okay, so I liked 05. I didn't get 05. It bounced down here. I tried to grab the longs, and now I don't want to chase it. And we're just absolutely flying back into the upside. What it might mean, however, is we got a couple out. We didn't see VWAP on Meta, so it didn't quite get you all the way down for the $1.50. However, it is coming right back in that pocket at 173. So I'll take another shot at this. We break the highs and start clearing out that 4,100 level, do I really like that short to roll into it? Maybe not, but as long as we're beneath, and I like that 173 as we were just talking about, I will jump back into the short. I've been getting typically around the 70 area here. I got 68s to 70s last time, so I wanted to get into that price, try to get into the quarters, or the 3/4, I should say, and start to roll over before I look for that short. I don't want to chase Tesla just yet. I'm still thinking I can get something closer to 205. So I'm not going to jump out in front of it too much there. But here comes Meta into the pocket. It's just as strong as it was before, but it did this. See, it did a big push into 73 and then kind of flush back in. I'm just looking for one of those, like a big push, little rejection, then grab it somewhere in these 70s to the south side. Microsoft, I already got that one, and then we'll see what happens, guys. Who said it wouldn't go over 209 a few days ago? Did I say that? I don't think I said that.
Tesla?
Oh, Tesla?
Was it Tesla? What else is going to go to 209?
I might have said that in the afternoon yesterday. But the thing is, if you're not even talking to me, whoever said that, if you're talking about Tesla saying it wouldn't go over 209, I think I said it wasn't going back above that when we were shorting in the afternoon, but I don't think I said that today. I just said I didn't want to hold on to the 08 long all the way back into 5. I wanted to pick the bid back up at 5 even. But I don't think I would have said that. Maybe you're talking to somebody else, but I wouldn't have said I don't think Tesla can get to 09. I would have said I didn't think it was getting back there yesterday. I think it could easily do that, but the futures will probably have broken that high at this point. I don't need 2 bids down here. I only need 1 last I checked, Neil. So let's see if I can pick that up. I did just grab Meta because it did exactly what I was looking for, which is start to make that last push up, try to get past the 80s, show a little weakness, jump back into short there. So I've reloaded on Meta, probably do exactly the same trade with a little more aggression of the outs. Like I'm looking for a couple of decisions, 1 move to the downside. Wherever that first candle kind of stalls out, where we slow down on that first move, I'm just out. It happened to be here at 20s. Maybe it's 20s again. It could be 30s or 40s. You're in an upward trend, so I'd expect I'm not going to get as much out of this trade as I did before. And by the way, it's 340, so 10 minutes to imbalances. There might not be a third trade here for me, just getting that one out. A lot of times, especially on the weekend, like I don't want to be working that level like a third time right at 350. We have a 162 small early indication of the buy or the imbalances of the buy, and that to me just tells me not a lot of interest. And it might flip, it could do anything. It is a Friday, so you could see that number jump around, but I don't think I'm getting all the way down to VWAP here, so I'm not going to treat it as such on Meta. Tesla still hasn't picked me up for that 05 bid. The only thing I'm looking for long right now is Tesla off 05.
Yeah, the market coming back in. It's almost like I'm ready for the amounts already. Me too.
Yeah.
This is just dragging on here. This market just is waiting. It seems like it's waiting for the imbalances to either break it through 90 or break it through 80, and it's sitting right here at 85, dead set in the middle. So can't really do a whole lot in terms of when the market's now refusing to actually make a move. You really can't get in or out at that point. Going back to the futures, somebody was also asking what is the situation with trading on the holidays. It's weird. There are some days where it's closed and then it opens back up at 9:30, and there's days where there's like an hour or two of next to no volume trading. So effectively, the way I go about holidays is that I don't even bother looking at it. If there's going to be no volume, what's the point? Even if it's open for an hour or two. Right, or until like 11:30, they do some weird early close. Like they open at 9 or 9:30, and then they close it, and it gets fancy. I don't know. So my suggestion to find exactly what the rules are is go to the CME group and find out the holiday calendar. And with President's Days right here, just go through it, and there's a file that'll download for you, and you can just go through the. No, actually, no, it's not even a file anymore. They used to do it by file. I guess they do it on the website itself. So go through the CME website and figure out where the holiday schedule is, or what the holiday schedule is for the Globex, and then you can go from there. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trading holidays. I've tried doing those low volume days where, it's open for a little bit, so let's just trade it. It is not fun. If you thought today was kind of boring, those kind of days are even worse. So I definitely would just completely avoid it. Come back on Tuesday morning, not even worry about the overnights. And you want volume to trade, right? So when it comes to volume, North American, if it's a North American futures product, North American hours are where you're going to get most of the volume. So 9:30, 8 o'clock, I guess, 8:30 onwards until the end of the day, where you get most of the volume. So trade that, and that's what I'm going to be doing. Enjoy the next 3 days. As traders, we work hard, we think a lot. Our brains need some rest, right? So why not take that time and actually take a break and enjoy that time off and come back for it on Tuesday.
Speaking of taking a break.
If you like the show, like the video and subscribe.
I want to know how many attempts it was for him to get the ball to spin and stay, or was it just one attempt? Is that good?
So I was passing the rocket first, and there was like 10 tries for me to get a good enough pass, and he had 1 or 2 that were okay. But then, this is actually true. I'm not making a joke about Fahad here. Fahad came in, did 2 chest passes. They were both on point, and then Luka got it on the second try with Fahad. But really, it was more Luka just wanted a really good take. Like, he had a bunch of good ones, and he was like, that's not good enough. And he wanted one that was a little better. Because he wanted the timing of when he spun it to really line up. And that was sort of that was the bigger thing there.
Yeah.
Not how good the spin was, but the timing of when he was saying things. So that was pretty good. And I bet he did a fun job with it. But If you're enjoying this video, please take a second and hit the like and subscribe on this channel. And never forget, do not put pineapple on your pizza.
Oh, you stuck that in there?
You're goddamn right I
I
did.
just heard that. How dare you?
You better believe I did.
How dare you?
You better believe I did.
No.
That's for damn sure.
No, we can't run that anymore. Brad, we can only run the other one. We can only run Luca's.
Take this opportunity to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You won't be disappointed. There's lots of bangs.
Where's yours?
There won't be mine.
You don't want to do one? I think they're all
That's
fun.
cool. That's
although,
cool.
you know, Arun over
Like,
here.
subscribe, and share the show that takes you to the heart of the market every day, guys.
No. You gotta redo Sharif's. He's gotta be like in his like cutoff.
Sharif
Oh,
reshot
he
his,
reshot
and
it,
now
okay.
he's mad because that's the old one. So I don't. That's not. Don't look at me, man. I didn't put that.
Sharif's gotta
maybe
be flexing on camera. Be like, you guys hit the likes or something with the flex on.
Yo, you know what we should do? No, you two should arm wrestle and then like boom, hit the. Who would win in an arm wrestle
He
between
would.
the two?
100%. 100%. He would.
I might have put my money on because like the leverage. I would have put my money on you. Is
On
that a
me?
thing? Yeah. Isn't it a leverage game? I'm not an arm wrestler. I
Both
have
of
no
us were
money.
never gonna arm wrestle anyways. We're smarter than that. We need to work out. If we arm wrestle, someone's getting hurt, and then we can't work out anymore.
No,
So we
if
both
one
need
of
to
you
work
two
out.
arm wrestles one of us, then somebody's getting hurt. But you two, I mean, whatever. It doesn't. This guy's too humble, man. Arun's a really humble guy. I don't know if you guys notice this, but it's like, you know.
I mean, sure, but I mean that's great and all.
He's
but
like he's the anti-Fahad. That's what Arun is.
well, but at the same time, you said pineapple, so like I now it's just like, come on, man, like really, like why though?
See, but the
Like,
thing is,
why?
like, and see how I get serious when you mention that to me. By the way, I might get some out of Microsoft because it's not giving you better than 57. We're 5 minutes to the imbalances. I've got nothing out of Meta, but you know, you just. Okay, so you just said something as I try to get a fill on Meta because this is actually too strong right now. You just said something which is a little ridiculous to have me getting serious. for a
Pineapple,
quick second.
pineapple.
It's not so much whether anybody can eat what they want, and that's fine. But it's not real pizza. And if you're willing to acknowledge that you just think it tastes good, but it's not actually pizza when you try to put pineapple on it, then I'm fine with that.
Okay,
I'm cool with that. Bro.
Okay, so
with that.
your
Now it
definition
dumps?
of pineapple is like, or your experience with pineapple is what? Pineapple on what? Like a Hawaiian pizza?
Pineapple is pineapple.
No. Like your experience with pineapple on pizza is for like Hawaiian, right?
Is that it's
Hawaiian
nasty?
pizza.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's nasty. And
Can
it's also
you
not
can
pizza.
you one time try the Hawaiian with hot peppers and just give it a shot?
I mean, I'll
Like, we're
try,
talking
look,
like bacon, not the ham. We want the bacon on the Hawaiian because there's a shop that here that does bacon instead of the ham. Bacon, you got to get that pineapple in there, and you can throw in some ham too, and then get the hot peppers in. Do that on thin crust. Come on, man.
Look, man,
You can't.
I will try just about anything once and then tell you I don't like it because it's gonna suck, and that's fine. I don't mind doing that. As a matter of fact, like I tell my daughter all the time, it's like the 3-bite rule with Pete the cat. You want to get your kids to eat, and I'm down with that. So I'll try anything, but I've already tried pineapple on pizza, and I think it sucks.
No, you tried it the wrong way. That's what happened.
No, you say I tried it the wrong
Yeah.
way. But the imbalances are only out in 3 minutes, so I'm going to get them locked and loaded here because I'm in the two trades I'm in. Like I'm short here, Meta to 173, Microsoft to 258. We'll see what happens, but I'll get the imbalance up so that we're locked and loaded for you guys and ready to go here. I'm not sure. Like the early indication is still just a small 162 buy, which is not a heck of a lot. And for anybody asking me to wrap, we have 879 likes.
879.
2,000 is the target.
If you
It
guys
is
like
Friday.
pineapple, hit those likes.
It is
You know
Friday.
I'm gonna say that.
It is Friday, however. And you know what? I did this last time. If it's not going to happen on Friday, from now on, just get 2,000 on the afternoon show on one day that week. And I'll just do it the first time we get it done. Because I feel like we wait for Friday and then it just never happens. So it is what it is. But the second I get out of Meta, now it's starting to go down. Because obviously, at this point, I don't want to make a decision until it either imbalances come out. If it's sell side, boom, we're going to get somewhere down close to VWAP. If it's buy side, then I'll probably just get stopped out at 173. And everything else in between doesn't really interest me all that much. So it gets pretty binary. You have any plays? What are you looking for here?
Futures? Okay, so on a day like today on the futures, you know there's going to be some activity right at the end there. What I want to see is, first off, the imbalance is at 350. How is that going to go? Is it going to be positive, negative? I mean, I know we have early look and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Like, it's not the early look isn't entirely accurate, right? There's going to be times it's right, and then there's going to be a lot of times it's wrong. So if you got a 50-50 accuracy on it, then probably isn't the best of or things to look at. So I don't know what the early look is, by the way. So if someone has the early look number,
162 to buy.
162 to buy. That's not anything.
Nothing.
If it's like a billion or something, great. If it's 162, this could go out either way. Things change right at the last second. Remember, this number is posted minutes before it comes out and updated throughout a couple minutes before. So I mean, like, it could change in the final 10 seconds, right? I'm still short on the ES. I've still got that tiny short on the ES. We'll see where it goes. I just want to see what the imbalance is. I mean, reality is I'm only putting up, what, 10 points in risk right now just to see what the downside is? Sure. If, however, we get a sell side move, it will break back down through 80 and it's a negative imbalance, I'm going to start adding into this position and see if I can't work the downside a little bit more. That is what's interesting to me. Given the way the market's flirting with these highs and refusing to go up, a negative imbalance that breaks us down through 80 and actually doesn't snap back up, that's something I'll work towards the end. I do expect these imbalances to be bigger than normal because of the options influence on them, but we'll see what the number comes out at. We'll see what how the market responds to this at the end of the day. But going into this, I know you got a few equity positions. I've got one futures position we're going to take with about 20 seconds left before these imbalances come out, and from there on out, we can start making some moves.
Just quickly before we get the imbalances, Alex Shaw, I think you've asked this a couple of times. DM one of us or just tweet at Michael Noss directly if you have a question about trade ideas that we didn't get to. So we can always get it back to them. But imbalances are coming in now-ish. So I see, where are the big names out here?
It bounced up.
TSM, Apple is a buy for 900,000. I'm just reading off the big names here. There's some small caps that are out there. Amazon is, Amazon's 750 to the buy side. Mostly to the buy side, it looks like. Alphabet 700,000 to buy as well. So mostly buy, 1.8 billion to buy is the overall imbalance. Meta did this, so it doesn't stop me out. That's good. Microsoft, however, is really close to stopping me out at that 258 level. So one, not so bad. The other one definitely flush. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla was strong. Yeah, Tesla's bouncing pretty nicely. I didn't see Tesla on the imbalance locator, but certainly it is pretty strong. Microsoft was a buy, 600,000. I might, the next, like this little dip that I'm getting in Microsoft, I'm just going to take it out there and cancel my stop. Because I saw that one, now it's 600,000 to buy. Might as well just get out when it gave me a bit of a reprieve. Nothing too significant. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the raw size here. Where the hell did Lyft come from? That wasn't there before. I didn't see that. I didn't see 3.4 million on Lyft when this first came up here.
Well, it's there now. As long
but
as
it's not moving. What kind of move is that for 3.4 million?
That's the thing. So the reason these imbalances matter is because, well, it's meant to put influence on the stock, but at the same time, if a stock's not reacting the way it should, like Lyft, it's big enough of a name. It's done 16 million on the day, and it's got a 3.4 million share imbalance to the buy side. Lyft should be moving more than whatever it's done right now. It should have the ability to keep running up. The thing you got to watch out for with something like this, with the futures market running up, is if Lyft now disappears at 355, right? That's the next update, right? 350 is the first number. 355 is the much bigger and more important update. So what happens then? Are we going to accelerate? If this ends up being a bigger buy after 355, and why there's a difference is because the floor interest or the floor brokers, the clients that they represent, their orders get put in. Right, so there's going to be a change in the number. 1.8 million to buy is 1.8 billion to buy is the imbalance right now, or that's how it came out of 350. At 355, that number could be 3 billion. Right, so when you get that update, you're going to start to see some names move, and there's going to be things that happen in certain names like Lyft where they don't react, and that's like a precursor to Lyft not even being a buy anymore. That could have just been completely paired off, and it's like a much smaller imbalance. These are unusually large. I don't know all of these names. I know AMCR, 5 million on the day, 5.4 million on the imbalance. Okay, that's an interesting one. That's pretty much the day's volume is also sitting on the imbalance as a potential move to the upside. Let's see if it sticks around after 355. That's when it really makes a difference, and that's when it really matters. Up until this point, it's just a reference point, right? We see AMCR, we see Lyft, SRNE is also there on the buy side. To potentially be a buy. I mean, 1.5 billion SRNE and Q, 1.5. It's not 170 million shares. You really think at this is what you got to figure out. 1.5 million to 170 million shares on the day. Does that make a difference? Absolutely not. who cares about SRNE? You just keep going down the list. But right now at the top of the list, these are not as big as I thought they would be for the type of day you're having. Yeah, it is a little disappointing. But AMCR and Lyft, we'll see. If Lyft disappears and AMCR stays, AMCR might be the way to go here. If, again, there's a lot of things that need to fall into place, but definitely keep an eye on AMCR going into that 355 update.
So I'm going to do in Meta what I did over in Microsoft. It's just the market's a little strong going into this one. So I had an opportunity, like it popped up, it just held 173, and then just came back down and gave me a reasonable out. So I'll just take that, understanding that, you know, all the big tech names came out to buy, and then it was 1.8 billion to buy. The market's very close to green. I don't want it running in there. The real trade was the first time it got there, right? Like it's not, that's the real idea. Like if we have to be flat in the next like 5 minutes anyway, so I'd rather just be taking the out where you can. I did the same thing with Microsoft. Like it was a good short off here, and you were getting good wins, but once the imbalance came the wrong way, don't let it get all the way up to your stop. I just decided I would take the out, take what the market gave me, and sort of walk into the next trade. If you're trading Tesla out here, guys, Tesla got all the way back up to the top, so that would have been safe if I got net 05 long, definitely. And oh yeah, we get NVIDIA earnings next week. Thanks for reminding that, YaTube37 in the chat. NVIDIA's been getting its butt kicked. Well, I mean, not really. The last few days, it's been peeling back off 230, but that's a healthy pullback from what the stock has done recently. And now you're getting the top end of the range tested. So if it breaks out in either direction, NVIDIA looks pretty spicy.
Earnings on those names, especially those index names, and NVIDIA definitely has some influence. Well, I mean, it's moved up in the rankings in terms of imbalances. And here we go, 355. What do we get? Futures market going up a little bit. Okay, there, I guess there's a buy. There goes AMCR gone. What was the other one? Lyft gone. Now SRNE. We already know what SRNE is like. Let's go through EQR. Looks like the market's going to take this in a positive fashion. So looks like there's going to be some upside movement. And Sharif, you might get your 4,100. If there's going to be some upside movement after 355 with closing coming in on options expiration, we see some crazy things. And accelerated movement north of 90, 4,100 is an easy target for that. So let's go through some of these other ones here. EQR on the buy side, is that going to be something? Pump it, he says. EQR, no, EQR NY. There we go. EQR 1.1. 1.3, they haven't paired a whole lot. What does the chart look like? Okay, we'll keep an eye on EQR. I'll keep this up and see if we can actually accelerate to the upside. But there isn't a whole lot. Tesla, let's take a look at Tesla. It doesn't have much of an imbalance. Down here, 230 to the buy on Tesla. And Tesla is actually moving up in a good way. Okay, back towards 208 and change. It's not going to be from the imbalances. It must be moving on its own, whether that's from the actual volume coming through on options, or they're trying to make a play on this towards 210. Maybe peg it to 210 going into options expiration. That's a possibility. I don't know what the options table looks like, though. I don't know how much interest there is at 210, but 210 being a round number, it makes sense that there's a decent amount of interest at those prices. But
the market's starting to go, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. Unfortunately, I'm still
Microsoft. See, this is exactly why. Like, it's just once the imbalance came the wrong way, it's like, why am I even trying to fight this? Like, forget about your stop. Just get out, man. And that's the value. That's the reason why I love the imbalances, because they can give you just a little bit of extra confidence to say, okay, it's trending, it's a good trade, it was a good trade, but it's not super good. Let's just get out of Dodge. Because without the imbalances, I'm losing an extra like 30 cents on that trade instead of getting out basically flat. And this one decides to trend to the upside. I love having that extra tool out there that can work. Steve G asking you, can you explain options expiry and its effect on the market in general?
Yeah, well, options expiration, I'm sure all of you guys know about options, and regardless of what time frame you're playing in, third Friday of the month tends to be options expiration, or will be. The end of the month, there's also some options, but third Friday of the month is usually where you're running some much longer term options that tend to expire. What happens on that day, though, is as options are being expired or being, what do you use that? What's the name of the term? Exercised.
Exercise,
yeah. Whether they're being exercised or not, as those are coming in, people do have to offset. Market makers and whatnot, they see all that activity depending on what they have in their book as well. So they have to now offset by either purchasing or selling. So that adds more volume to the table in terms of what individual stocks are going to do right at the end of the day as those options are expiring. Now, there is, people like to comment on the fact that certain prices attract, the stocks are being attracted to certain prices because of the amount of interest in those names. And that is very much the case in big numbers like Tesla. I'm thinking 210. I just want to know how many options are expiring at 210 for them to either fall in the money, at the money, or remember, when you buy an option, it has to go a little bit, just enough past the premium price as well, tacked on to the price of the strike price. Can't remember this stuff.
It's Friday, bro.
Yeah, on top of the strike price. So if you now can get it to 210, you're still net negative even if you're long on a call at 210, right? So there's a lot more to do with that. So I would definitely kind of keep an eye just on volatility. Overall, regardless of how you play options or whatnot, whether that was a good enough explanation or not, it's just added volatility because there's going to be so many people from so many different directions that need to do some buying or selling as we get into the end of the day.
Almost, I thought was a good answer. We got 40 seconds, Bill. Thank you guys so much. I want to get a few things in very quickly here. First, that OKYO, I felt like it was done. Not enough for me to go short, but it is breaking to the downside. And DraftKings, I did not get that long in DraftKings, and I'm glad I didn't because it fell all the way into 20, bouncing now. Looks like Sharif is going to be on the bell as well. Personally, I think you did a fantastic job filling in for Sean. And remember, here as we're counting down Friday, no market on Monday. We're back on Tuesday. But let's get it over to Sharif in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Put it on DraftKings. Hey, when you're up 15% on the day, then you get to have the chart up as Sharif rings the bell. Thank you so much for that. It was a heck of a lot of fun today. This market's been fantastic. We had a big day yesterday with a bunch of guests. We're thankful to have had Michael Noss with us for a couple of days. Not just to educate you guys on trade ideas, quite frankly, he's been letting us know how we can utilize it better. And now he's promised me I can have it on my iPad. And yes, that was a promise. And I will be getting it on this iPad as fast as I'm going to be the first person that doesn't work for Trade Ideas to get it on their iPad. I promise you that. Otherwise, Michael and I are going to have some words. So how did the market finish up there, Brendo?
A bit of a mixed board as we were seeing throughout the afternoon here, guys. That's a look at how things are trading right now. 0.27 for the S&P, 0.39. The Russell again mixed. Was NASDAQ all day long. Continues that way. 0.68, 0.58. For the NASDAQ, yeah, Michael Noss, just wrapping things up for the week. Thank you again for coming all the way from the East Coast to fill us in, give us a little more insight as to the ins and out of trade ideas. Again, Trader TV 30. Guys, all weekend long until Tuesday morning. We'll get you 30% off trade ideas. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me. I love it here.
Guys.
There you go. Absolutely anybody can get it. It's a great tool. We all use it. That's one of the reasons we feel confident speaking about it, because it is a good tool that lots of people even on the trading floor use. So the market didn't do too well today. It stayed on the bear. We didn't quite get to green, but it has been a very good week. Trading some of the earnings names was very fantastic. If you like earnings, they're definitely, there's still the flavor. We're gonna get some decent ones. We still have NVIDIA to go. I want to give a big shout out to the midday boys. Luca for the last couple of days filling in. Ian has done a great job, and Sharif, as always, Sharif absolutely killing it on the 1s and 2s. Special shout out to Pratt,
a flat trade essentially,
because you didn't see us talk about Fahad. Fahad actually had to take off. He wasn't feeling well. So it's been all Pratt by himself getting the job done. He's done a fantastic job all day long here today. And then Mark.
Pratt's all right.
He's been Mark has had the ladder up and been doing stuff all day long. He's at the green screen. He's putting lights up. He's just doing stuff everywhere. And as always, Brennan, I didn't get a chance to say this. Fantastic interview with Kevin O'Leary. You did a bang-up professional job.
Sunday, guys. If anyone missed that, Sunday, rewatch it again. We'll put it out on Sunday. So if anyone missed that.
Great interview. And as always, I think he's the most professional person in the business. There's no one better. It's because he actually loves trading, unlike the other talking heads that kind of do the same thing. He understands the game a little bit better. And Arun, as always, it's been a pleasure. Even though you didn't let me criticize myself in a trade, you're still okay, except for the fact that you like pineapple and pizza. But for the entire Trade TV Live team, we are not here on Monday. We got to say goodbye. Have a fantastic weekend. Have a happy President's Day, or in Canada, Family Day. I'm Neil, that's Brennan, and Mr. Arun, Batman. We will see you next week. Bye, guys.